Oh my God, I had it on a loop. Who knew? How are you? Thank you for everybody who came over. Hopefully you can hear me okay because we did a sound check over there and it was good. Hey, Carolina. Yes, you did. Hey, Colleen. Hey, Carol. Sorry I'm late. We were going over some of Donna's documents. Depending on how long this takes, we may go over the rest of them tonight or I'll record it and we'll do a premiere on it because I got a bunch of documents from the jail, her commissary list, her phone log. She talks to Harvey and her attorney a lot. Her notes to her jailers. It tells a story. It tells a story, but that is not why we are here today. We are here to hear this testimony. So this is her hearing where, remember, she asked to have her call with Charlie suppressed, and then she's asking for bond. I think the testimony that she gave about her Vietnam trip being a vacation is going to come back to bite her. I don't know why that was. I mean, she's running the show. I was going to say, I don't know why it's approved. I guess she has final say in all that. But I feel like the judges always say the attorney makes the decisions. The client gets to decide if they're going to go to trial and if they're going to testify. But like, as we saw with Sarah Boone, we know that's not the case, right? We know what's up. Okay. I've cut this. We're only going to watch her. Excuse me. We're starting from her testimony, then there's argument in the middle, and then she gets back on the stand because there's separate motions, and so he's not like blending them to keep the record clean. All right, let me stop talking. How are you guys all doing? It's good to see you all. Thank you all for being here. Happy Friday. And yeah, I hope everyone is well. I hope the weather is good. I hope the money is flowing and the joy is almost overwhelming. Okay, let's get started here. Let me know if you can hear him okay. Oh, come on. Oh, God. What is happening right now? Hold on. I swear this played earlier. We may have to go to the law and crime. Hang on one second. The mark is at 106. Give me 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Yeah, this is it. 106. Hold on. Okay.
Let's resume with the suppression portion at this time. Does the defense have any other witnesses or evidence it wishes to present as it relates to the burden in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor. Defense will call Donna Adelson.
That background noise is something in the courtroom. Now watch her do this Hollywood shuffle.
Witness stand.
Baby got back. LA face with an Oakland booty.
Please raise your right hand as best as you can. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? You may take the seat. Please speak loudly and clearly. You may examine Mr. Zellman when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please state your name for the record and make sure you speak in the microphone?
Yes, Donna Adelson.
Now, I want to direct your attention, we heard the call earlier. The call on November 7th of 2023 at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And for the record, that was call number 561. Do you remember where you were?
Yes, I was in my apartment in my living room.
Do you remember who was present when you got the call?
Yes, my husband, Harvey, and friends of mine, my attorney, Susan Brotman, and her husband, Richard Chagrin.
So this is about the Charlie
You
call
said
we
your
were doing
attorney,
first.
what kind of law does Ms. Brotman practice? Or did she?
She does estate planning.
Was Ms. Brotman present at your apartment for the purposes of providing you with legal counsel?
Yes, she was.
And you remember receiving the call from Charlie?
Yes, of course.
Where was Charlie at the time?
So he was in a room by himself. It was after the conviction.
Was he in jail?
He was in jail.
Okay. What did you do when you saw that Charlie was calling?
Answered the phone?
And you heard the recording that we played earlier?
Yes.
And you agreed for your call with your son to be recorded, correct?
Yes.
As the call was happening, do you know at what point Charlie was no longer on the call?
No, only when because I was talking, and then all of a sudden I asked him something, and I said, "Charlie, do you hear me, Charlie?" And I said it a few times, and he didn't respond anymore. And I knew the call was over.
Now, in the course, during the time that your son was incarcerated in Leon County Jail, did that happen more than, was that a frequent occurrence?
Yeah, it happens. It happens a lot, unfortunately.
And would there be times when you didn't realize at first that he was no longer on call?
Yes.
Where in your apartment were you when this happened?
So I was in my living room.
And you heard your voice on that first call number 562, when you repeated, Charlie, Charlie, are you there?
Right.
Did you believe the call had ended?
Yes.
And in times prior to this, what would happen after that? What would you do when that would happen?
If he didn't respond anymore, that was it. The call was over.
And what would you do with your phone?
I hang up.
Now, same thing with the call on November 8th of 2023, the one at 6:38 in the morning. Do you know at what point your son was no longer on the phone?
I don't. I don't remember though.
In either one of those situations, or in both of those situations, did you believe the call was over
Yeah, the call was over. He was gone.
and you went about your business?
Yes.
Now, with respect to the November 7th, 2023 phone call when your attorney and her husband and your husband were present at your apartment, did you agree for your attorney-client conversation to be recorded?
No.
Did you agree for your conversation with your husband to be recorded?
No. Of course not.
Now, the following day, did you agree for your subsequent conversation with your husband to be recorded?
No.
I didn't even know there was a following day recording. I'm looking up the Venmo now. The thing is, you didn't agree to it, but you agreed to be recorded when your son called, and you, my dear, didn't hang up the phone. So through your actions, you co-signed it. You know what I mean? Like, I guess they got to try but we still know she had the one-way ticket to Vietnam, even if we don't get the phone call in. I just don't see the judge. What do you guys think? Do you think he would throw that out? Like, ma'am, you didn't hang up the phone.
Now, you heard the recording. To consent to this call,
Now she remembers
or
her
recording
breathing
this
should
call,
be labored.
correct?
Correct.
You hung up the phone after those calls were over.
Thought I did.
Just a moment, Your Honor. Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Good morning.
So there in the room with you during this call was, you said your one of your attorneys, Susan Brotman, your husband, and then also Susan Brotman's husband.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And he was not your attorney.
He was not.
Your attorney.
No, he's not an attorney.
Okay. You were informed at the beginning of that call. This is the one on November 7th that recorded you while they were all in the room. You were informed that you were being recorded if you accepted that call.
Yes.
Okay. And that if you do not want to be on that recorded call, that you needed to hang up the call. Is that right?
Are you saying, does the recording say,
Right. If you do not want to accept that recorded call, you should hang up.
if you do not, yeah, no, I accepted the recorded call.
Okay. And you typically do hang up your calls, you said, after
I mean, I think I
your
did,
call
yeah.
with Charlie Adelson when he was in custody. All right. But this particular call that day, evidently you did not properly hang up, right?
Evidently.
And have you ever forgotten to press the button on a call before?
I mean, it may have happened. I don't know.
Sure. Has your phone pocket dialed people before?
Has it what?
Pocket dialed people before?
Okay, I know a lot of you guys watch Kathy. Kathy was saying, which I hadn't even thought of this, that maybe she had earbuds in and forgot to push it because later at the end of the call, someone, the woman, the attorney says, whose phone is this, right? So maybe when she was saying Charlie, her phone was not anywhere nearby. What do you think?
When you've been out of custody.
Pocket dialed?
Right.
I don't know what you mean.
Like if your phone is in your pocket or in your purse and it accidentally calls someone you didn't mean it to.
I mean, it could have happened, sure.
Okay. And you also could have not pressed the button on your cell phone to end a call before, right?
It's possible.
Okay. It's not quite as big of a deal as it used to be when you would actually have to hang up the phone.
Right.
Right. Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Redirect examination.
Briefly, Your Honor. The consent that you gave for the call to be recorded, when did that end?
It ended when Charlie hung up or when whatever stopped the call. I mean, I don't know how it stopped, but it stopped. When the call was over with Charlie, it was over.
Nothing further.
You may step down. As to the burden of this, under the precedent established by Smiley versus State, in order to exclude what are complained of wiretapped interceptions, the movement has a need to show there was a subjective expectation of privacy in their statements, and the expectation is one that society would accept as reasonable. As to the subjective expectation showing, the defendant has met that burden. It now shifts to the state as to whether this is one that is reasonable. Ms. Dubin,
Yes, sir. I have argument.
you may proceed.
May I provide the court with some case law?
You may.
I've got some argument and then I'll kind of go through each one of these cases. I provided defense a copy of these earlier this morning. So in defendant's motion, they first argued that this was, a warrantless search. However, the state's argument is that this is not subject to Fourth Amendment, so there's no wrongful state action that caused this defendant to be reported after the inmate was no longer on the call. The only conceivable state action here is the state having the service that allows inmates to make recorded calls. But on those calls, both parties have to consent to be recorded for the call to begin. And if they do not want to be recorded or need to hang up, the state didn't intend to record this defendant's conversation in her home with her husband and friends. And it was the fact that she was recorded was not caused by the state's actions. It was caused by the defendant's actions. The defendant argues that they have a reasonable expectation of privacy in the call, but that would only start once this defendant actually hangs up. And the defendant is the one responsible for hanging up, not the state. The defendant was responsible for the interception of the phone call. It was her failure to hang up that caused that rest of that call to be recorded. It was her action and not the state action that made that happen. The state did nothing to keep her from hanging up the phone or prevent her from hanging up the phone. I think an analogy here would be if someone were to say something incriminating in earshot of a law enforcement officer because they think the law enforcement officer can't hear them. If they can actually hear them, then that's on the speaker because the speaker didn't walk away to talk. That was the speaker's carelessness. The defense also cites Florida Statute 934 and says that the good faith exception doesn't apply because this call was in violation of that statute. But when you look at 934.03, every single subsection of that statute applies to intentional intercepts. I provided several cases to the court. There's nothing directly on point here of this situation having happened just like this in the past, but there are a lot of cases that deal with inadvertent recordings. One of the first cases I gave to you is Baronet. This is a U.S. Court of Appeals case.
Yes, this is a great point, Tony Tim. She leaves it open because he comes back. And if you've gone over phone calls from prison has the calls, and oh my God, Pretty Lies and Alibis has the calls. He does come back sometimes and they complain about it. So she, in my opinion, had the expectation that the line was open, and she left it open because she was hoping she'd be able to hear him again. So for me, I feel like she stepped in it right there, but.
From the Sixth Circuit that held that police interception conversations between the defendants that was overheard when a telephone that was subject to a court-authorized wiretap was inadvertently left off the hook by the defendant. That was authorized under the plain view exception to the warrant requirement. In that case, the state had an actual Title III wire on the defendant's phone. The defendant was on a call and then didn't properly hang up the call. They left the phone off the hook accidentally. And then law enforcement was able to hear the conversation in the room where that phone was located. So when you compare that to our case, there's obviously a much different type of state action in that case with the wire. But regardless, this was a recorded line. It was a legally recorded line where they consented to be recorded. Just like in our case, though, the defendant in that case failed to properly hang up, and that allowed law enforcement to hear the conversation in the room. And that was able to be authorized because of the inadvertent nature of the recording. Another was Otero versus State. This is a third DCA case from Florida where a child accidentally activated an answering machine of a home that she was staying at. And that answering machine recorded the conversation of the mother and the child, unbeknownst to either of them. The third DCA found that admission of that tape into evidence did not violate the statutory exclusionary rule found in 934 because 934 prohibits intentional interception of wire communication. And that taping in that case was accidental, not intentional, just like in our case. There's another case that I provided to the court, Bell versus State. In that case, a girlfriend began to record her conversation with her boyfriend, who was the appellant. And that conversation that she wanted to record was about money, an argument about money between them. The appellant, Bell, then took the phone from her and kept the phone after the argument ended and the girlfriend left the house. The girlfriend's young daughter was still at the house, and after the girlfriend left, the defendant was intoxicated and forgot to turn off the audio recording. There was then a recording, as the recording kept going, it recorded him molesting the girlfriend's young daughter after the girlfriend left the house. The girlfriend then discovered the audio recording next day and handed it over to the police. The defendant was charged with L&L molestation. In that case, the recording of this molestation was obviously inadvertent, and the defendant agreed with that. Only the first conversation about money was what the girlfriend was trying to intend before the phone was taken from her. And that phone was in the appellant's custody and control at the time of this recording of the L&L molestation. The DCA in that case said that the trial court did not err in concluding that Mr. Bell failed to prove that his girlfriend intentionally intercepted the portion of the recording that took place while she was gone. Unless his girlfriend intentionally violated the statute, he was not entitled to the benefit of the statutory exclusionary rule. Because the recording was repetitious, but after she warned him she was going to record him, he took possession of the device that recorded his words and actions. And so the court found that the appellant did not establish that the communications were intercepted under any circumstances justifying an expectation of privacy. I have one more case that concerns the reasonable expectation of privacy. This is the Huff case that I provided to the court, which is a federal case where the plaintiff, a federal civil case, where the plaintiff inadvertently pocket dialed the defendant, which is something that has happened to us all. And the defendant listened to and recorded the conversation she overheard while on the pocket dial call. The plaintiff then brought suit for the defendant intentionally intercepting this private conversation. And in that conversation, the plaintiff was basically having a discussion with his wife and with other people as well in the room. The court ruled that the plaintiff's statements did not qualify under Title III because he exposed them to the defendant when he pocket dialed her. But the plaintiff's wife's statements did qualify. She can't be held responsible for her husband's pocket dial. But the thing that I think is most important about that case is the court's holding that a person who knowingly operates a device that is capable of inadvertently exposing his conversation to third-party listeners and fails to take simple precautions to prevent such exposure does not have a reasonable expectation of privacy with respect to statements that are exposed to an outsider by the inadvertent operation of that device. So in that case, the statements didn't qualify under that were as ones that were protected under the U.S. code. And that's what we have here. We have the defendant failing to.
Uh-oh, the thing just told me I was muted. Harvey is in the courtroom and he is looking rough. You'll see him. But I think he's in his 80s. I love that someone said that their family members are 88 and looking better than them. Yeah, he's declined a lot without Donna. It's almost like a death. Like if you've ever had older relatives, usually when one dies, the other dies shortly thereafter. And it's like he's doing time too. You know what I mean? He's alone. Charlie's in South Dakota. Donna's in Tallahassee. Wendy went to Texas. I mean, maybe he has some good guy friends, but like who's cooking his meals and all this stuff, that he was used to. So yeah, he looks rough. And then the question about the earbuds, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a nosy person. I have learned that I can hear more with my earbuds on because it picks up all of the sound around you. Like, don't tell anybody, it's just us, right? Like I could be sitting on a train, right? Or the subway and or I could be sitting in the commissary at work and have my earbuds in and I can hear like 4 tables over what they're saying because it's picking up all the ambient sounds. So I think she could have she could still hear, although probably after her ears were freshly washed because she's got tiny ear canals.
To take simple precautions of properly hanging up what she knows is a recorded call. So the state would ask that the defense motion be denied.
Final argument on the motion to suppress from the defense.
Yes, Your Honor. There are 2 cases, I cited a number of cases, and I know Your Honor's practices review those in addition. There are 2 additional cases I provided copies to the state that I am relying on. First is Hentz versus State, 62 Southern 3rd, 1184, and State versus Mozo, 655 Southern 2nd, 1115. May I approach?
You may.
His
So Your Honor, I want to
caregiver.
start with a very general proposition that's important for us to remember. Right to privacy is enshrined in the Florida Constitution. Article 1, Section 23 provides that the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures and against the unreasonable interception of private communications by any means shall not be violated. Article 1, Section 23, the Florida Constitution also provides that every natural person has a right to be let alone free of governmental intrusion into the person's private life. Fourth Amendment includes similar protections. 93402 defines an oral communication as any oral communication uttered by a person exhibiting an expectation that such communication is not subject to interception under circumstances justifying such expectation. The courts have held in Florida, as cited in my motion, for an oral conversation to be protected, the speaker must have an objective expectation of privacy along with a societal recognition that the expectation is reasonable. Your Honor, State versus Mozo, almost 20 years ago, courts have held that conversations, oral communications taking place in one's home are protected by Chapter 934.
I don't think this point is reasonably in dispute, but go ahead.
Now, the question, obviously, is the objective portion of this test. And Hentz versus State, 4th DCA, and Hentz is a situation, Your Honor, where an individual was in an interview room at a police department. He placed a call to essentially a co-conspirator, co-defendant, and the recording equipment was powerful enough in that interview room to pick up the other end of the call that is made to Hentz. Based on what law enforcement heard from the individual's call, the individual who was calling Mr. Hentz, they obtained a search warrant for his cell phone. And on that cell phone, they found images that arguably possessed, as well as other evidence of a crime that the two of them engaged in. The Hentz court held that, and another important factor, Your Honor,
Not yet.
Mr. Hentz was
I checked
aware
earlier.
that the individual on the other end of the phone was at the police department waiting to speak to law enforcement. Court held that Hentz had a subjective expectation of privacy, and his expectation was one society accepts as reasonable. Now, one distinguishing factor, I need to acknowledge that, but I submit it's not dispositive, is that while Pence did not know that the individual was sitting in a police interview room, whereas Mrs. Adelson knew that Charlie was in jail and had consented to her call with Charlie being recorded. But the oral communication that is protected by Chapter 934 that is at issue here are the conversations that Mrs. Adelson had after Charlie dropped off the call, when she believed the call was no longer being recorded. Conversation, at least with respect to November 7th, is with her attorney and her husband. Both are confidential relationships.
With all due respect, it doesn't matter what she believes, counselor. If she wanted to ensure that it was hung up, she would look at it, like when it's not, oh, you can't see it because I have the background. If it's not, like you just dial out and test. Sometimes I do that. Like or at work, if I hang up with somebody, I just double check that it's hung up, especially like on the Teams calls and whatever. So what she believed, the test is what society would accept as the expectation of privacy. And I just like our little society, our little 2 cents community, we don't seem to be believing it. So, and I think we're reasonable, rational people. So sorry, Donna.
Doesn't the warning, though, about the recording almost directly speak to that issue where, I'll read the case that you've given me about Pence. Although he knew his friend was at the police station, he never received an explicit warning about you may be recorded if you continue on this conversation.
Correct, and I'm going to get to that.
Go ahead.
Thank you. The testimony, uncontroverted testimony, is that Mrs. Adelson believes she hung the phone up once she realized Charlie was no longer on the call. There's no evidence otherwise. And I don't think it is reasonable to require an individual in a situation like that, I recorded a phone call, let me repeatedly hit the end button. Hit it once, that should be enough. She believed that she ended the phone call. Now, Pence also addressed something else that I think is important. Chapter 934.03 is a general intent statute. It does not require that the state intentionally recorded after one party of this jail call drops off. It's not required. Was the system designed to intentionally record? The answer has to be yes. Investigator Newland testified, yes, intentionally designed to record. Now, the state, I anticipated that they would argue accident or inadvertence. This is not an accident. An accident is something that doesn't happen frequently. Mrs. Adelson testified this happened. The call, Charlie dropping off the call would happen frequently. As Investigator Newland acknowledged, Defense Exhibit 3 and Defense Exhibit 1 established, this was not an isolated issue. This happened. The system is intentionally designed to continue recording. Under Chapter 934, I submit that when either side of the call is no longer on the call, that the system has to stop recording, and any additional recording is a violation. That's what we have here. This is not an accident. This is not inadvertent. Securest Technologies system is designed to continue to record after either one of those parties drops off the call. Investigator Newland said that it terminates when both parties hang up. Well, I submit, Your Honor, that that's not what happens. It continues to record, and it is not reasonable. And society is not expecting that somebody sit there with their phone and continue to hit the end button to make sure that the call stops on their own. I think that's.
But do you have to continue to hit the end button, or you hit it once? It's disconnected.
Testimony is that she believes she did.
Go ahead.
So, because this is not a specific intent statute, is the system designed to intend to record? Yes. And there's no evidence that this was accidental or inadvertent. This is not a pocket dial, as the state argued. We know that Charlie intentionally called his mom. We know that the system intentionally recorded the call. The state has not presented sufficient evidence to establish this is not a communication that society, that there's a reasonable expectation that society would accept that this call is anything other than something that is entitled to the protection of 934 and Florida Constitution.
And we'll review the cases that were presented by both parties before making any ruling. I'll reserve on the ruling as to today. We'll take a brief 5-minute break before we get into the Arthur and Bone motion. We'll be in recess.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next is going to be about her bond, and you're exactly right, Carolina. Or wait, this was the other one. No, you're right too, but there was another one about Sarah Dugan getting her to talk. Her lawyers are trying to fit a square peg into a circle on all hogwash, poppycock, and all that other great stuff. Oh my God, why does that remind me of Mary Poppins? Did she say poppycock? There's no way on God's green earth that the judge will. Okay, yeah, it is. But she's not doing a great job on the stand. Hopefully they give her notes. Hopefully, well, it's not going to happen. She's going to have to take the stand, but maybe they'll talk her out of it. The narcissists love to talk, though. They love to be seen. Okay, let's get to this.
Wilson says something along the lines of, it's like the last thing that you hear, something along the lines of, what's this? A call that didn't end. The implication being he must have picked up the phone and saw that the call didn't end. I think this is important to note because had Donna Adelson looked at her phone, she would have seen the same thing. That's all.
Right.
May I have a equally brief response?
59 seconds exactly.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, the system is intentionally designed to continue recording after the inmate disconnects. And the system knew that Charlie had been disconnected because he tried calling back, and the system reflected this. Investigator Newell testified account in use.
Let's move on to the Arthur hearing at this portion. Is the defense wishing to present its argument as to bond, or is the state going to present first as to proof of guilt evident or presumption grade?
I'd prefer we do bond first, if that's okay with the defense, just because the state does have a couple of witnesses as to the things they brought up in their motion. And then I'm not calling any witnesses for Arthur. I'll just be moving some things into evidence, so maybe we can do that last.
Mr. Zellman, as to the bond portion of this, do you have witnesses?
We do, Your Honor. State will call Donna Adelson.
Ms. Adelson, you can retake the stand once again. You remain under oath. You are sworn to tell the truth.
Just waddling a little faster. If that was my grandmother, that would break my heart, even if she was guilty, or if she were guilty, but it's still, it's, ugh. Why would you do this?
Thank you, Judge.
You had a good life. Dan had a good life. He deserved to live.
Ms. Adelson, at the commencement of the hearing on the motion to suppress you, you said your name for the record, Donna Adelson. Can you tell the court how many times prior to your arrest for the charges that are pending in this case have you been arrested for criminal offenses?
Never.
And how long were you incarcerated at the Leon County Detention Facility? Do you recall?
15 and a half months, 470 days.
And within that period of time, the 470 days, have you been held in the same location in the Leon County Detention Facility or different locations?
Different locations.
Okay, and your first location was where?
First location was in solitary confinement on a direct observation unit.
Do you know how long you were there?
50 days.
Okay. And where did you go following solitary?
To the N pod, like N is in November. It's an open pod, general population.
What does that mean? Open pod, general population?
So I was with 60 some odd other inmates, all in one open area.
And you had beds in your room, I assume?
There were each sections off about 10 women. So, and there'd be a cement wall, and then there'd be another 10 women in a cement wall. So it was fairly quiet, actually, even with that many women, because we were separated in small groups, so it wasn't that loud.
Okay, and do you recall when you were taken out of the in like Nancy pod?
Yes, in August, they said they had maintenance to do, and that we would be moved to the annex, which is a building outside of the jail.
Okay, and so I'm not going to be specific as to dates, but you're arrested in November of 2023 in solitary confinement for 50 days to whatever date that took you to.
January 9th.
Okay, and then from January 9th all the way through some date in August of 2024.
Correct.
You were in the in like Nancy pod, and then you said you were transferred to the annex. Can you describe the conditions inside the annex, please?
So the annex is kind of a temporary type building. It's not a brick building. It's kind of like a temporary building, and it's and there are 66 women, all in bunk beds, all open. You kind of one on top of the next. There's no separation at all.
So one big open room.
One big open room with 66 beds. Yes.
Okay, and how long did you stay? So from August of 2024 until when? How long did you stay in the annex?
I was moved again on February 3rd, 2025.
Okay, and you were here when the gentleman was testifying about the call buttons to alert someone if you're having a medical emergency. Was there one of those in the pod?
No.
Was there one in the annex?
No.
I don't disagree, Afton.
I'd like to start the motion for a bond that we filed in this case, as the court indicated earlier. One of the issues that we have raised are medical conditions that you're facing. So I'd like to start with your medical conditions and present some testimony to the court about those. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We're not going to go over every medical condition you've had since you've been incarcerated in the jail, but I'd like to start with one that you have that's causing you some pain in your leg and back area. Okay. Let me just start with this. Can you describe to the court the kind of pain and discomfort that you're having with this particular injury or issue?
You know, it's I know what it is because I've had it in the past. It's sciatic pain, and I get like a pulling kind of shooting pain down my legs.
Okay. And you said you've had it in the past. You mean prior to becoming incarcerated?
See, this is where I don't understand this argument. If you're asking for special favors, right? You're saying because you're in pain, you should be able to go out, and because you're old, well, ma'am, don't do crimes. That's the answer. Yeah, it just isn't. You knew all those things before you hired a hitman. I feel like they're asking for sympathy, and Judge Everett doesn't give me sympathetic vibes in that sense. Not that he's uncaring, but it's just like, suck it up, Buttercup. Yeah, I don't get it. But we're gonna hear a lot about her medical issues, her tiny ear canals.
At the Leon County Jail?
Yes.
Okay. And during the course of time before you were incarcerated at the Leon County Jail, did you seek treatment for that condition?
Yes, I did.
And what type of treatment did you obtain for that?
So I saw my orthopedist, and he gave me a steroid
Be
injection.
safe,
in my spine.
tennis girl.
How long were you suffering from the sciatic condition prior to becoming incarcerated?
How long? The last episode?
Before you were incarcerated in jail, for how many years had you been suffering with the sciatic issue?
So no, I had it last about 10 years ago. I haven't had it all this time.
Okay.
But then it recurred a few months ago.
Okay. And what was the treatment that you were provided prior to your incarceration for your sciatic condition?
It was the steroid injection, and within 48 hours, it was gone. The pain was gone. It was amazing.
And where did they do the steroid injection? Where's that?
I agree that this is a beta for her testifying, but I was hoping it was a test that she failed and they were like, don't do it. But I think they're going to be able to coach her. Obviously, she's had some coaching, she's prepared. She has the exact number of days. Like, ma'am, down to the hour, how long she's been there. Well, tell us how long Danny has been dead. If you want to rattle off some numbers, ma'am, we want to know those numbers.
Is that in your body?
In my spine.
Spine. Okay. Is that outpatient procedure? Inpatient?
Yes, outpatient.
Outpatient. Okay. All right. And during the course of time that you've been in the Leon County Jail, did you start to experience the sciatic pain again?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do when you started to experience that pain?
I wrote a sick call, and I went to see the doctor.
Okay. Where do you get these sick call forms from?
From the nurse.
Okay. And when do you have the opportunity to see a nurse? Sick call forms.
Well, they come twice a day. They come in the morning and they come in the evening.
Okay. And we'll get to what those times are at a later point. But if you don't get a form from a nurse, is there another way to obtain it that you're aware of?
No, that's the only way I've ever gotten it is from a nurse.
Okay. Do you recall approximately how far into your incarceration you started having the sciatic issues again?
I didn't have it until I was in the annex.
Same, traveling.
That was sometime over I've been there 6 months. I don't remember the specific date, but I didn't have it before the annex.
Okay. And once you started experiencing it in the annex, did you complete a form to see medical attention?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And as a result of completing that form, did you have an opportunity to meet with someone in the medical center at the Leon County Jail?
I saw the doctor there.
And
Yes.
what happened?
And I explained what I had, and she said, we do not treat that type of problem. We could offer you some Tylenol.
And did they provide you with Tylenol?
They did.
And has that relieved you of the pain that you suffer?
No, it's Tylenol. It's not gonna do what I need to have done. No.
Okay. So sometime since you've been in the annex, you've made your request for treatment for the sciatic issue. Have you requested treatment more than once?
Yes.
Okay. And have you received any additional opportunities to meet with any of the medical staff regarding this pain?
No.
Okay. What happens when you request treatment and you don't get to see them? Do they tell you that you're not going to be allowed to see them again? What happens?
No. I wait a week, and if I don't hear anything, then I'll write another one, and I'll write this is a second request or this is a third request. And then I think they said I think I got an answer. They sometimes just answer it and give it to the pod officer, and she'll hand out papers at night, which is the response to your requests. And on that one, they said you're already getting pain medication for this. That was the Tylenol.
And the pain medication is just regular Tylenol?
Regular Tylenol.
Okay. At some point, did you have an opportunity to speak to someone in medical care regarding way to resolve some of the pressure in your leg?
All right. We don't feel sorry for you, Donna. Danny was shot on a Friday around noon, and he didn't pass away until the next day. He laid there for a while with 2 bullets in his head and no one to attend to his pain, not even Tylenol. Her oh my God, self-pity, ridiculous.
For use of a medical mattress?
Yes. So while I was down with the doctor during one visit, she said, what might be helpful, because you're sleeping on metal and the mattress is maybe a ½ inch thick, maybe. She said, what would help is if I could get a medical mattress for you. I had never heard that term before, but I said, okay, then if you think it'll help, that would be great. And she left the room. She went into another room, and then she came back in and said, yeah, I thought that would be a good idea, but they don't have it here. So my best my best thoughts for you would be to get a second mattress, so it'll thicken it a little bit, and that might give you some relief at night.
Okay, and did you obtain a second
I
mattress?
did.
And this is while you were in the annex? How did you get the additional mattress?
So the pod officer asked one of the inmates to go where they have extra mattresses. They have piles of 20, 30 mattresses there, to go get one of the extra mattresses and put it on my bed so that I had the extra mattress.
Okay, and during the time that you were allowed to have the additional mattress, did you get any relief?
Yes, at night, because I used to get the pains even if I was just lying down. And that definitely relieved some of the pain at night, so that was good.
Okay, and at some point, did they take the additional mattress away?
Yes, so on February 3rd, I was moved out of the annex to protective custody in the main jail building. And since I've been there, the officer removed the second mattress. She said, "Why do you have this?" And I told her why. And she said, "We have this." And so they took it away.
Okay, and since the additional mattress has been taken away, have you started to experience worsened pain?
Yeah, it's worse.
Well, what was going to happen when she got to Vietnam? Was there a doctor there waiting for her with syringes full of steroids? Like, are those top-notch doctors in Vietnam? Was she flying a doctor over with her? Welcome, Wendy, to the membership. I appreciate you. Do you guys think that Donna put them up to this line of questioning? Because I feel like this is the weak part. Like, why didn't they go in aggressively and address her leaving, starting with that, or with her one-way ticket to a non-extradition country? Because all of these, ma'am, you're 74. Shit's gonna hurt. I mean, I'm 53. Things hurt. They don't work like they do when you're 23. You know what I'm saying? And then jail's not supposed to be fun. You're being punished. You are being punished, ma'am, for naughty things.
And have you requested any medical treatment for that?
Well, I spoke to the doctor, I don't remember the date, shortly after it was taken away. I was down for a different reason. And she said, yeah, I thought it was a good idea, but if you can't have it, you can't have it.
Okay, right. Now, the relief that you got when you were able to have the additional mattress, did that completely take away the pain?
No.
Okay.
No.
And you experienced this pain when you're walking, sitting?
So beginning, I was just getting it when I was
Very
walking.
shrill.
So it limited the amount of walking I could do, but I get it when I'm sitting, I get it lying down, I get it all the time now. So it's not like I have it all the time. It comes and goes, but when it just comes, I could be sitting, I could be standing, it just happens.
Okay. We're going to go into more details about how it took place in a few more minutes, but for now, I'd like to talk about, are there any other areas that you are experiencing any pain?
Yes, I have a problem with my left arm.
And describe to the court what that problem is, but what you're feeling, what you're experiencing.
So I have like a shooting pain from the top here of my shoulder down the outside of my arm into my forearm.
Okay, and you're pointing to your left arm. Is that the one you're referring to?
It's my left arm.
Okay, and so shooting pain down the arm. Anything into your hands?
Yeah, the pain is like hot. It's like a burning pain, and my thumb, index, and middle finger have gotten like tingling. It almost feels like ants are crawling on them. It's like a numbness of those fingers.
Okay, and is this pain that you were experiencing prior to your incarceration at Leon County Jail?
No.
Okay, about when did this pain begin?
Okay, I'm not a nurse. Nurses correct me, but that sounds like neuropathy. What is the judge supposed to do about that? What are the jailers supposed to do about that?
So I was assaulted by another inmate while I was here at the beginning of October.
October 2024?
Yes,
When you say Leon County Jail?
yes.
All right. Since you began experiencing that pain, since October of 2024, have you requested medical treatment?
Yes.
And what has the response been?
They said they would take an x-ray, but in the meantime, I could have Tylenol.
Okay. And you said that was in approximately October 2024. Have you been requesting treatment for that pain since October 2024?
Several times.
Okay. And you heard the testimony of the gentleman previously. At some point, did they do an x-ray on your arm?
Yes.
And when was that?
It might have been February 3rd. No, that's the day I moved. It's shortly after February 3rd. I don't know the date.
Was it after you were removed and placed in protective custody?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Is the Tylenol help with the pain that you're experiencing?
No.
I agree. She's an old, tough broad. Like a bad piece of beef.
After they performed the x-ray, were you called back into the medical unit?
It was for another reason, but they did call me and they told me that the x-ray showed no fracture.
Okay. No fracture, that's what they were looking for.
That's what they were looking for.
Did they offer any type of physical therapy for your shoulder, anything at all?
No, I asked if they could do anything for it, and they said no. Tylenol.
All right. Do you have any other medical conditions that you wanted us to address in the bond hearing that you're suffering from?
So I have a hearing issue.
Okay.
I have a problem that we have very narrow ear canals, and so doing
God is so cruel to give her those big giant ears and tiny ear canals. What are the odds? Poor Donna.
The wax builds up in my ears to the point that, I mean, I have officers that say to me, "Are you deaf, Adelson?" When I don't respond to them, it's because I don't hear them. And so I did ask for help in the, I asked the doctor if there was anything they could do for me, and I told her what's normally done, and she said, we use Debrox to soften the wax, and then it comes down 3 or 4 days later, and we use a bulb syringe to remove it. And I said, that doesn't work. I need a different procedure. And she said, that's all we can do for you.
Okay. And did you know, based on
Were
your
you
prior
willing
treatment
to
before
try
you came
that?
into the Leon County Jail, that it required something other than the flushing system?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall the name of the doctor that you saw for this condition?
Yes, I've seen him for years. Dr. Molina.
Okay. And Dr. Molino, how long do you think that you saw him for this condition prior to your incarceration?
I mean, several years.
Okay.
4 years, 5 years, I don't know.
Okay. And during the course of his treatment for you, how often would you go to have the wax removed from your small ear canals?
Yeah, every 3 to 4 months. If I waited longer than that, couldn't hear.
Okay. And did he use this method, or did he do something different?
No.
What did he do?
He used some kind of, I don't know what it's called, but it's some kind of electronic device that he puts one end in my ear, and he's able to remove the wax using that device,
Okay.
medical device.
And in your experience prior to incarceration, when you were having that procedure done, did your hearing improve?
Immediately. Yeah, immediately.
You may.
Mrs. Adelson, I'm showing you what the defense has marked as Defense Exhibit 1 for purposes of this hearing. And it's a report from Dr. Molina, your doctor. Could you review that just to yourself for a moment? Okay. Does that describe the treatment that he was providing to you?
Yes.
Okay. And it includes a recommendation that you continue to receive the same treatment, potentially with another ENT in Tallahassee. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. This time the defense would offer Defense Exhibit 1 into evidence.
Any objections to defense one?
Yes.
Defense one is admitted. You may.
So I wonder how much of this she tried to resolve with the jail directly, because they do, like I said, I have the handbook. They do offer grievances, like at all places. And then, like, did she ever say, I would like to go out for this? What does that process look like? Or is she just going straight to the judge because she thinks he's the manager? Like, and is it life-threatening, I guess? Well, I'm not saying it. I don't want to say it should have to be life-threatening for her to get that medical attention, but I guess, is it a necessity? Can her lawyers just go to the jail to talk to her? She's going to give a reason, like, why it's hard to get in, but I'm struggling to believe that. And she talks to Harvey a lot in these phone call records, so she hears him. Is he the Donna Whisperer?
During the time that you have, without disclosing any other conversations, of course, but during the course of the time that you have met with counsel at the jail, have you had difficulty hearing us while we're trying to discuss your case with us?
Yes.
And what about over the telephone? Are you experiencing difficulty hearing us in that way?
The telephone is a problem.
Okay. Have you actually gotten in trouble by some of the guards at the jail because they've instructed you to do something and you weren't?
Me too, Afton.
Yes.
Has that happened on more than one occasion?
It's happened on several occasions.
And have you experienced over the course of your incarceration that your hearing is getting worse and worse?
Oh, yeah.
This is not a significant, I'm going to move on to something else now, and this is not a significant injury, but I did want to address this with respect to the type of medical care that you are getting at the jail. Did something happen to you recently where you cut your arm?
Yes.
Okay, tell the court what happened, please.
So I was walking past the washing machine on my way to the restroom, and I bumped into there's like a metal bracket that holds the washing machine in place, I guess, and it's my fault. I bumped into it.
Right.
And what happened?
So I cut my arm pretty badly.
So what did you do after you cut your arm?
So timing was it's kind of interesting because the med nurse was there doing morning meds. So I got onto the bleeding wouldn't stop. It was just pouring out. And so I figured I'll get on the line with the other girls and I'll speak to the med nurse. So I waited my turn and I got to the med nurse and she said, "Whoa, what happened to you?" And I said, "My fault. I just bumped into the machine and I cut myself." So she looked at it and she said, "Yeah, that's a problem." I said, "Yeah, can I get a Band-Aid or gauze or something, some antibiotic cream?" She said, "Yeah, I don't have any antibiotic cream and I don't have a Band-Aid." So I looked at her and I said, "Well, what should I do?" She said, "Well, why don't you use your toilet paper and put it on there?" I said, "But it's gushing. I can't put toilet paper on there." So one of the girls saw me and she said, "Oh my God." And she came running over and she opens up a sanitary napkin and she put it on there so that it was filling the sanitary napkin with blood. And so another girl came over, she took the bloodied one away and
Am I the only one who doesn't feel this is that dramatic? Sanitary napkins are made to absorb blood. It was an emergency. Maybe you buy Band-Aids. I'm sure they have to sell Band-Aids in the canteen. But she seems like so offended that they recommended toilet paper and a sanitary napkin. Ma'am, do you want to bleed everywhere or not? Like, pick a side, look alive.
She gave me hers too, and I was applying that. I said to the nurse again, I'm not going to be able to stop it. Holding this, isn't there something you can do? She says the best I could offer you would be to fill out a medical request form. So I said, you want me to do that now? She said, yes. I said, okay, can I have a medical request form? She says, oh, I don't have any. I said, well, what am I supposed to do? And she said, I don't know what to tell you. She's maybe the night nurse.
Okay, so this was just a couple of days before you were transferred to protective custody, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but you recall that was on Saturday, the 1st of February?
It was a Saturday morning, yes.
Okay, and so about what time of morning would this have been if this was the morning med nurse?
It could have been 9 or 10, somewhere in the morning.
Okay, and when she told you that she didn't have any sick call forms for you to request a Band-Aid, and then you would need to get it from the night nurse, approximately what time does the night nurse come?
So the night nurse comes anywhere from 11:30 to 2:30 in the morning.
11:30 p.m.
PM.
to what time?
2:30 a.m.
30 a.m. And in the meantime, you were supposed to use the feminine pads?
I called my husband. He told me to elevate my arm, to wash it, try to wash it frequently, just to keep my arm up. And that's what I did. And one girl brought over toilet paper, but that was sticking to.
The wound she is describing sounds like it needs stitches. I'm so confused. Like, now I know older people, their blood, I don't know if she's on blood thinners, but they bruise easy and their skin breaks easily. But the way she's describing it, it seems odd that it was resolved by a Band-Aid. And she's talking about going through all these sanitary napkins and the toilet paper was sticking to her. This is making me mad. Donna's making me mad.
To the wound, so that wasn't good. So I kept borrowing sanitary pads to hold it.
Okay, and at some point, did the night nurse come?
Yes, she
Borrowing?
came that night.
Okay, and what happened when she got there?
She didn't have a Band-Aid either. She didn't have antibiotic ointment either. And I said, this has been going on since early this morning.
Judge, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just turned around and noticed that some of the state's witnesses have re-entered the courtroom. We had previously invoked the rule for the bond proceeding.
All right. For anyone who is here to testify concerning bond, please step outside the courtroom. Ms. Dugan, is any witness you're intending to call currently in the courtroom?
I'm calling Ms. Wilson and Deputy Collins.
Please continue with your examination, Ms. Fulford.
Thank you. So the night nurse came and the night nurse didn't have a Band-Aid either?
No antibiotic, no Band-Aid, and no, the form that I was told to ask her for, the sick call form. She said, I don't have them. We haven't had them in a while.
The night nurse?
The night nurse.
So how are you supposed to request, according to the night nurse then, how are you supposed to request assistance?
So I was actually fortunate because there was a sergeant with the night nurse. She accompanies the nurse when she comes there. And she took a look at what I looked like, and the night nurse said, yeah, that's a problem. And so the sergeant said, I'm going to make sure you get a Band-Aid, and I'm going to make sure you get a form. You'll get it by tomorrow. When I go back with the night nurse, she said, I'll run some off on the machine, some copies, and I'm going to make sure that you get it.
And did she?
The next morning,
Okay.
I got it.
From the sergeant?
So if it was life-threatening or if it was really serious, I have a hard time believing that they would have just pushed it off. It can be bad. You can need a tetanus shot, but like you could step on a nail and need a tetanus shot and it could be bleeding, but she's making it sound like it continuously bled until the next day, which I just feel like, would they be worried about a form? They're responsible for her well-being and she's in her 70s. Do you know? Like if it was a risk of her bleeding out, I just don't understand. And why didn't we just skip to the part about where someone made copies and getting the form? Like we're retelling it in the most dramatic way. Oh, then she came and she didn't have a form. And then the guard just say the guard got you a form, ma'am.
From the sergeant, yes.
Okay. You got the Band-Aid and the call nurse?
Yes,
Call form.
the call form.
You have first witness, Ron?
You may.
Adelson, I'm showing you what the defense has marked as Defense Exhibit 2. Do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yeah,
Or what is that?
that's a few days after I got cut, and it's the clear Band-Aid that they gave me to put on top.
Okay. After you got the bandage to put on over your wound, did you get additional medical treatment for the wound?
So no, not then, about, I don't know how many days later, but when I went down to medical a few days later, they said, how long are you wearing this bandage? And I said, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, whatever it had been. And they said, this should have been cleaned and changed every day. Why didn't you have that done? I said, I don't know. This is what they gave me to put on, and that's what I did.
Okay. The photograph, does that truly and accurately depict what your injury looked like the few days after?
Now, this is a woman who has grandkids, has raised children, and you don't know that a Band-Aid needs to be changed to keep the wound clean. It sounds like it might have been a gash. I'm not buying it. And Judge Everett has seen all well, like I said at the top, most of the evidence, because a lot of it
After
is
occurred with the band?
similar.
That's what it looked like.
The defense would offer Exhibit 2 into evidence.
The objection to defense 2.
No, sir.
May I approach?
You may.
And at this follow-up visit, then did they change your bandage and clean the wound?
They cleaned it and they put antibiotic cream on it and I changed it, yes.
And did you get any additional treatment for the wound?
No.
Did you request that you get a tetanus shot?
My husband said, Donna, if rust on that metal, which there was, he said, you should ask for a tetanus shot.
And so did you request
So
it?
I requested it and they did give it to me.
And then as far as your medical conditions go, the last thing I want to talk about is something that I would give two different descriptions of, but I'm just asking the questions. You're the one providing the information to the court in your testimony.
Okay.
So this shortness of breath or heavy breathing that you're experiencing, how long has that been going on?
It's been going on several months, probably at least 3 months, I would think.
Okay. And you're experiencing it then during your incarceration. Did you have it prior to being incarcerated?
No, I did not.
What have you noticed about the breathing and how would you describe it? Shortness of breath, heavy breathing, what?
I know, I guess it sounds like heavy breathing, it's shortness of breath. I've never had that before. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I've gained more than a third of my body weight here. The diet is all carbs, no protein. And, when you get spaghetti with mashed potatoes, cornbread, and white bread, that's your dinner. It's very typical of what we get. And we've had no exercise at all. We're confined, especially.
So we just looked at the log before this live, and she definitely had exercise. For me, this is coming off extremely entitled because that's what all the inmates are eating, ma'am. And I saw it wasn't on her intake. I'm still looking for it, but someone said she asked for kosher. I'm just looking to confirm that, which is kind of ironic since she sabotaged the wedding and got like kosher-like food instead of kosher. And Dan was embarrassed. His rabbi was there, like people had to leave, they couldn't eat, and she didn't care. But it's just coming off it like she's too good for potatoes and spaghetti or whatever it is. Ma'am, that's what everyone's getting. Do you need a separate diet? And she's full of shit. The entitlement, it's the audacity for me.
In the annex, we've been confined to our beds almost all the time. Once in a while, we get a pod officer that lets us walk, so you can walk in a circle around the girls' beds. But otherwise, there's no, even if you want to get off your bed and just try to do stretches or wall push-ups or anything, she says, this is not an exercise room, there's no exercising here. We don't get taken outside.
Let me stop you. One of these issues at a time. So with respect to the time period when you've been in the annex, which was from August of 24 until recently February of 2025, was it your understanding you're supposed to be taken outside a certain number of times?
Well, the inmate handbook says you get a minimum of 3 hours of outside time per week.
Okay. And during your time in the annex, did you experience a week where you got 3 hours of time outside?
We haven't gotten 3 hours in 6 months.
Okay. How many times did you go outside while you were in the annex?
Before you continue, Mrs. Adelson,
Yes.
we have 30 minutes left in the hearing. Ms. Fulford, I understand your client is disputing the adequacy of the care. We do need to move to the most pertinent matters. Please continue.
Okay. We're going to move off of that then. I do want to talk to you then about some physical issues that have taken place in the jail. The first one I want to talk about is
When he said to the most pertinent matters, my mind went, because you ain't talking about shit right now, ma'am. Please get to why you need this bond hearing, because I'm not in charge of all that. And spaghetti's what everybody else is eating. Shout out.
Is an incident that took place in the shower. We're going to do this one briefly. I'm sorry, how much time did you say we had, Judge?
30 more minutes.
Including argument?
Not including argument.
Okay. All right. So the first incident that took place in the shower, could you just briefly describe to the judge what happened there?
Yeah, so I always, there's 7 shower heads, but I always take the same one because it's off in a corner, so I have a little bit more privacy than you'd have with the other ones. And so I would always shower there, and I was under the shower and I was washing my hair. And I was the only one in the shower. I always go in early morning because there's nobody there. Most of the girls sleep. So I take a shower and I have a little
We
privacy.
get it. Okay, go ahead.
So I was washing my hair, and all of a sudden I felt a hand go up my back, like from the top of my butt up my back, and I yelled, "Stop it!" And I turned, and this girl said, "You like it?" And I said, "Get out of here!" And I started to scream, and she ran.
Okay. In the bathroom there, what was this, which pod was this in?
It's in the annex.
It's in the annex, okay. In the annex, are there guards positioned inside the area where you shower?
No,
Inside the area where you use the restroom?
no.
Okay, all right.
Why would there be? That'd be a whole other
The
lawsuit.
next thing I want to talk about is what transpired in October of, thank you, October of 2024, where you had said previously you were attacked. What were you doing?
Tell
Where were
me
you
if
at
you see a
first?
tear,
Place.
please.
In October. So I was in the bathroom. It's 10:30 at night. I went in to brush my teeth. There are three sink stations in the bathroom. Each one has 4 sinks. And I was at the center station with my back to the door. And I'm a righty, so I was holding my toothbrush with my right hand. And I was balancing myself with my left hand on the sink, just brushing my teeth. That's all I was doing.
What happened?
And somebody came up behind me and pulled my left hand away from the sink and twisted my arm and like jerked it behind my back, like reaching up toward my neck.
Okay.
And
Did it hurt?
yeah, it hurt.
Okay, what happened?
It hurt. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she's in the same breath that she did that with my arm, she said, "You're gonna buy me commissary." I said, "I'm gonna what?" And she said, "Unless you want those pretty white teeth knocked out of your mouth, you're gonna buy me commissary." So I said, okay. And then she named a package that she wanted, and she's out. She was gone. She was just that fast.
Okay. How bad would you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad would you rate the pain at the time that she did that to you?
Oh my God, it was a 10.
Okay.
I didn't know my arm could reach that far back.
Okay. And what did you do after she did that to you?
So kind of stood there for a minute, and then I just thought, okay, I'm gonna go back
Oh, I
into
was
my bunk.
muted.
And I went back to my bunk and got into the covers.
I don't see any tears. Does anybody see any tears? I just am like, it's giving Dynasty. It's giving, I'm an actress and I was in pain. I was so scared. This woman, I mean, she was standing up to the guy. What was he? The extortionist, the undercover. Who are you? What did you do? She didn't back down. I'm not buying it. She's not a shrinking violet, no matter how gray her hair is. But she's desperate. It's just giving desperate.
Just stayed into my covers. I didn't come out.
During your entire time in the annex, did this particular inmate remain confined in that area with you?
She was in the annex all the time.
Okay. And I know that you don't want to talk about who did this to you because why? Why don't you want to disclose who it was?
There's one thing I've learned since I'm there is you don't know the word to snitch. You don't snitch. You don't tell on anyone because you'll be sorry you did. And I've seen that. And so I didn't even tell you for a while. I wasn't going to tell anybody. I didn't want to tell anybody. She's a big woman, and I was afraid of her.
Okay. Approximately how tall would you say she is compared to you?
So for 6 feet, she's over 200 pounds. She's a very large woman.
Okay. Were you afraid of her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was after that.
Okay. And you said that she demanded that you were going to start getting a weekly commissary. Did you do that?
Yes.
Okay. Let me, can I have just one moment, Judge?
Go ahead.
Lots of tiny violence. She can't hear it though because her ears are clogged. But you see, she's dropping character right now. She's like trying to stay in character, but now she's dropped. Okay, now she remembered the breathing. But is it because she's having a hard time breathing, or is it because she's fighting back tears? Oh, the drama.
Your Honor, in order to move this along a little more promptly, I've requested of the state, and they have no objection. At this time, I'm going to offer into evidence State's Exhibit number 3. I'm sorry, I said state by mistake. Defense Exhibit number 3,
Yes,
Defense Exhibit number
yes.
4, and Defense Exhibit number 5.
The objection is taken.
May I
They are
approach?
admitted. Thank you.
Ms. Adelson, prior to ordering commissary for this woman who attacked you, were you getting commissary for yourself?
So I have an account, and you can buy up to $40 a week of food. And so I use that account to buy food, but not what she wanted. She wanted packages.
Okay, let's make sure the court understands. When you say buy food, is there normal commissary through the jail, or you were getting your commissary?
Yes.
Okay, and that's what you were spending $40 a week on for yourself?
Yes.
Okay, and what kind of items are you buying for yourself off of that?
I try to get some protein in my tuna fish with mayonnaise and
substitute meals, if you will?
Yes.
Okay, no noodles of any kind?
No.
Okay, all right. Now, is there a separate way that you can order commissary on the outside for inmates?
Now, why did she ask her about noodles? I think Donna told her to do that. Like, why do we need to go out of our way to specify she's not? She said she was ordering tuna and mayonnaise.
I can't do that. It would have to be ordered from somebody else, ask somebody outside to place the order.
Okay, and when you refer to packages, is that the method that the woman who attacked you said she wanted you to get for her?
That's what she asked me to get her. Yes.
Okay, and these packages cost about $40 each, is that correct?
40 and then $10 for packaging and shipping, so it's $50 a package.
Okay, and during the course of your time in the annex, while you were still in the annex, on just about every week, did she continue to find you in the bathroom and demand what packages that you would get ordered for her?
Yes, and she must have been keeping an eye on me, but when I was in the bath, those are the only time she would approach me is in the bathroom, and she would tell me what she wanted for that week.
And did you make those orders through your husband?
I called my husband. I didn't tell him what happened. I just called him and said, honey, I want some extra food. Would you mind ordering some packages for me? And he said, sure, honey. He did.
And he did that. And at the time that your normal canteen or commissary would be delivered, is that when the extra packages would be delivered as well?
Yes, all at the same time.
Okay, and in the course of things, you would go pick up your canteen and then her extra packages, is
Yes,
that right?
yes.
And where did you keep her items when you got back to the annex?
So it was, you have to carry your bin up, and they put the package, they open up a plastic bag and they loosely put all the stuff in the bin. So it was all in a bin that I would and put onto my bed.
Okay, and did you keep her eye care packages separated from your canteen?
Yes.
Okay, and how is it that she would receive her packages? How did she get the
So
food?
she would send, I used to say her minions. She was just pick different girls.
Her minions, like Donna didn't have minions. Terry, this is a great point. It is it's a biohazard. Like she's making it sound like she was just like blood was squirting out of her everywhere and they were just unbothered. She's over the top, and I think maybe because she's in there, it's like she can't understand that that's not reasonable, or maybe everything Donna does is over the top. Like we read her emails, maybe that's her steady state, or for some of us that would be if we were stressed or having a dramatic moment, having a bad day, that's how she's living.
To come over to me, and they would say, package up 4 soups and 3 bags of chips. And the first time I didn't know what she wanted me to do, and she said it's for, and she mentioned her name. I said, well, how am I supposed to do that? She said, just put it in your shirt. I'll meet you in the bathroom. So I would load these things in the top of my shirt, and I would hold the bottom of my shirt like this so that nothing would fall out. And I'd go to the bathroom, and then somebody would follow me in there, and she would take it out, transfer it into her shirt, and walk away.
And that continued from the time that she first yanked your arm behind your back in October all the way till you were put into protective custody, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, when you got into protective custody, in fact, did you receive your last packages for her?
So the last package came, I was put into protective custody on a Monday, and Tuesday, the commissary came with those packages and brought them to me.
Okay, and do you have that extra food in your protective custody room
It
now?
was sitting there. I don't eat that stuff, so it's all sitting on top of my bunk.
It's made up of noodles and chips and things like that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. I want to talk briefly about your time in protective custody. How big is the room that you're in?
6 by 9.
Okay, and are you in this room by yourself?
Yes.
And is the door, with the exception of when they allow you to come out, is the door kept closed all of the time?
It's supposed to be kept closed.
Okay, all right. And you're given, I'm kind of leading here, Judge, to try and get us through this, but you're allowed to come out of that room 1 hour per day on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you get to come out for.
Judge, I'm violating the rules of court procedure, but I'm telling you that because you told me I had to rush, so it's your fault that I'm asking my witness leading questions. Okay.
20 minutes. Is that
20
right?
minutes.
Okay, and on the weekends, you don't get to
Not
come
at
out?
all.
Okay, make sure you don't talk over me, okay?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. We're talking over each other.
Okay, sorry.
So Saturday and Sunday, you don't come out at all. During your hour, 3 days a week, and your 20 minutes, 2 days a week, is that when you are given the opportunity to take a shower?
Yes.
If you have time to walk, that's when you walk?
So on an hour day, I'll walk for 40 minutes or about, and then I'll take my shower at the end of that, so I get my shower in.
Okay, and laundry also, that's what you use that
All
time
of
for?
that, yes.
Other than that, you're locked inside that room?
Yes, I am.
Okay, now, was your understanding when you were put into protective custody that there's not ever supposed to be anybody out around you, is that right?
That's what I was told.
Okay, but protective custody is actually attached to a pod, is it not?
Yes.
And what pod is that?
M-Pod, like Mary.
Okay, at some point, did you learn that this individual who attacked you was also, at least for some period of time, in that same area?
I'm not sure where she was. She might have been.
Okay,
I didn't see her.
you didn't see her,
I
okay.
heard that she was there, but I didn't see her.
Okay. Now, you have testified earlier that different guards have kind of different rules that they follow inside the jail. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Okay. During the time that you've been in protective custody, when you were told you should not be around anyone else in the pod or otherwise, have there been times when guards would have you around other inmates?
Yes.
Okay. Was there an occasion where another girl came and knocked on your door wanting you to give her food?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And what happened when you said you would give her food?
I said, I have all that extra food. I don't mind giving it to people. So,
Okay. So how are you going to give it to her?
well, that's what I said to her. How am I going to get this to you? And so she gave the guard a high sign, and the guard buzzed the door open. And it was her and a friend of hers, the two of them, and they only stepped in my foot. came in and I gave them some soups.
Okay, is that the only time that you've been around other people since you've been put in protective custody, or have there been other
There have been other
situations?
times, like yesterday, the officer buzzed my door, so I guess there was something she wanted me to do, so I opened my door, and I came out, and there were maybe, I don't know, half a dozen girls watching TV. I walked past them, and I asked the officer, "What did you want?" And she said, "Miss Adelson, I didn't mean to buzz you, just go back to your room." I said, "Okay." So I
Okay.
turned around and I went back.
They're just
Let's move
accidentally
around a little
letting
bit faster
prisoners
here. So
out.
one of the things that's been a big issue for you is lack of sleep. So we're going to just kind of go through this quickly for the court. But you testified previously that the nighttime medications come between 11:30 p.m. and 1:30 or 2 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. And part of the nighttime medications that you get, is there something in there to assist you to go to sleep?
yes.
And then you get the medication. About how long after that is it before you can go to sleep?
From the time I get it, probably a half hour.
Okay. All right. And what time are you woken up for breakfast?
Between 3 and 3:30. Yes, last night was 3:10. Just within that half hour range is when it comes.
Okay. And once you're woken up for breakfast, are you capable of going back to sleep?
No.
Have you tried to go back to sleep?
Oh my God, yes, I try.
So that period of that time that you get from the time you fall asleep after your night meds until you're woken up for breakfast, that's the only sleep that you're getting while you're incarcerated?
That's it.
How has that affected you?
So, listen, I know older people don't need as much sleep as younger people, but I need more than 2 hours a night. I need more than a good night is 3. One night I had 3.5 hours. It's not enough sleep to stay focused. I mean, I feel like I'm foggy sometimes because I just sleeping. I'm tired, and I can't go to sleep. People screaming and yelling. They bang on the doors. They shake the doors. It sounds like a drum in there. It's horrible. So I can't sleep with all that noise going on.
Okay. Do you have legal documents that we have provided to you or prior counsel has provided to you that you need to review to assist in the preparation of your defense?
Say this to me.
Sure. Do you keep legal documents with you that you're supposed to be reviewing to assist to prepare for your defense?
Sure, I've got two bins full of them.
Okay. Are you having difficulty completing the tasks that we're asking you to do because of your lack of sleep?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I want to talk to you for just a second. You're able to make calls to your lawyers off of your tablet, correct?
Yes.
And those are supposed to be attorney-client privilege calls, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And they're not recorded according to what's said on the recording when you make the calls.
That's right.
During the time that you were in the annex, were you in a situation where you could be away from everybody so that you could make those calls without anyone hearing?
No, I had to make the calls under my blanket because you couldn't hear me. I certainly couldn't hear you. So I would go under my blanket with the tablet and I would call you that way.
That didn't keep the other inmates who were standing right next to you from hearing.
It is what it is.
Okay. Was there a time when you and I were speaking and when you pulled the cover, was a guard there listening to your call?
Yes, there was.
And during the time that you and I are having conversations, do you also experience the same kind of problems with the phone that you had heard that Charlie had while talking to you, where the calls are dropped, et cetera?
We've had it numerous times.
Okay. Are there times where we're not able to hear each other on phone calls?
Yes.
Is there static on the phone calls?
It's static. And now you've been complaining because I have this shortness of breath. So you say I'm breathing very heavy and it's hard to hear me.
Okay.
So it's difficult.
All right, let me ask you a few questions. We're requesting that His Honor allow you to be out on bond pending your trial so that you can assist in the preparation of your.
I think they should have led with this argument, right? Because she has a right to participate, to be able to assist in her defense, right? Because like when people are deemed not competent, they can't go to trial because they can't assist in their defense. But all the other stuff about the sciatica and the Band-Aid, and I think you guys are all making great points because yeah, she would have passed out if it were bleeding that much. I think it probably hurt like the dickens because again, as we age, our skin thins and like maybe it sliced it. You know how you get those like I don't know, I do it all the time and it just like it's a thin cut, but it does bleed and it just stings because of the way it was cut. I don't doubt that it hurt, but I feel like, girl, some Neosporin, a Band-Aid, and some tetanus and a tetanus shot will get you right as rain.
Defense. If His Honor ordered that you reside here in Leon County and not leave Leon County until the conclusion of the trial, would you agree to do that?
Yes, of course.
If he placed you on an electronic monitor, would you agree to take that?
Yes,
Okay. If he required that you have a curfew from 7 o'clock at night until 7 o'clock in the morning, would you comply with the curfew?
I would do that.
Do you have the ability to do these things?
Yes,
Okay. You have the ability to get housing here in Tallahassee where you could live with your husband.
sure.
Okay. And if he said that, you can leave outside of the curfew, you can leave to go meet with your lawyers, medical appointments, if you need medical appointments, coming to court, those type of things, would you comply with those orders as well?
Yes, I'd be grateful just to get a night's sleep. It would be great.
Okay. If he ordered that you had to surrender your driver's license during the pendency from now until the end of the trial and not drive, would you agree to comply with that?
Yes, I would.
Hey, Veronica.
I just
We
want
missed you on the members meeting on Saturday. I get a tetanus shot every 10 years. I had some sort of, I can't remember. I had one a couple years ago and the doctor was like, yeah, make sure you get it every 10 years. Like I had.
thought I had asked this, but I might not have. For the medical conditions that you have complained of during the time that you were speaking with the doctors and they said that they didn't give you the treatments that you were requesting, did they ever offer that they would have a doctor from the outside perform the treatment for you?
No.
I don't have anything further.
Student cross-examination.
Yes, sir. All right, so the incident in the shower, after you let the inmate know that you did not like what she was doing by telling her to stop, did she ever try that again?
No,
And that inmate's no longer, or You didn't disclose the name of that inmate, but you did tell the investigator that that inmate is no longer in jail with you, right?
She's no longer there. She left shortly after that.
Okay. As far as the arm twist incident from October of 2024, you said you reported that in February of 2025.
Yes.
Okay. And you wouldn't give the name. You said you wouldn't give the name of her to the
Curly
investigator.
white.
But if you would give her name, that instead of you being separated from the pod, she could be separated from you, and you could be back with the general population.
Yeah, but she's not the only one that could hurt me. That's why I wouldn't do it. She had a half a dozen girls that came up to me.
Was there ever any physical violence by her or anyone she's friends with after that October 24 incident?
No, that was it. That's it.
And by being in solitary confinement, does it give you an opportunity to have a quieter space where you can prepare for trial?
I guess it would be a quiet space if I could get some sleep and I would be able to concentrate on what I'm supposed to do. Yes, that would be helpful.
Oh my
You also
God,
make
yes.
Visits with your attorney in jail?
Hey, Florida PI
And
Sam.
when that happens, are you in a room alone with him or her or both?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And y'all are able to have conversations then that are private?
yes.
Same.
For the sciatic nerve in December
She just
of
remembered.
2024, were you offered a solumedrol steroid injection for that pain that you declined?
I am going to object to the use of the medical records by the state based on the prior objection.
Stephen, do you have the ability to show that these records were not a part of what was obtained by Investigator Newland? That is still disputed.
No, these are part of what was obtained by Investigator Newland. But my understanding is that the defense would open the door to this by asking her all of these times she was seen by medical staff and what basically was not done for her.
As to that, I will permit the witness to answer. You may answer, Ms. Adelson.
Could you ask me one more time?
Yes, ma'am. For the sciatic pain that radiates down your right leg, were you offered a solumedrol, a steroid injection, and then after that, a medrol, so a steroid dose pack that you declined until you were able to speak with your physician?
No, I told her that in the past I had gotten a steroid injection in my spine, and she said, we don't do that. I could offer you, and it was a medrol dose pack, I think.
A solumedrol
That's
injection?
what she just asked you.
And having had sciatica twice in my lifetime, I know what's been done each time, and I know that worked. And so she said, we can't do that. We don't offer that. You would need to see a specialist for that.
Okay.
So every single suggestion they had, she was not willing to try it. If I'm in pain and I am desperate, filing with the court and coming and telling all this stuff for the judge who can't do anything, and she knows he can't do anything, because remember that first hearing, he brought in the sheriff and all those guys when she was complaining about being in protective custody in the turtle suit. Ma'am, why not try her? Why not try the medrol pack? What do you have to lose? It just comes across as entitled. I'm too good for that. That's what the other inmates are getting. I need to leave. My illness is special.
I'm going to show you this page. The encounter from December 13th, 2024 at 3:22 p.m. What does it say? Offered patient a solumedrol injection, and then starting tomorrow, a medrol dose pack. Patient requested decline until she can speak with her physician.
I don't know what a cellular injection, but she told me they don't give steroidal injections in the spine. She says, we don't
Do
do that.
you
I don't
remember them?
recall her offering an injection. I do remember she said, I could give you other medication. But I've been there. I've done that. I know what happens with sciatica, and I know what needs to be done. That's not going to be the answer.
For your arm and shoulder pain, is
One in the chat, if you would be willing to try anything that they offered you, like this legal, of course, they're in jail. Or two in the chat, if you would hold out and take nothing and come to court.
isn't it true that you reported you had mild pain in your left arm and
No,
shoulder?
I gentleman say that before. I couldn't believe it. I told you that I had severe burning pain down the outer part of my arm. I never used the word mild pain. I don't know where they got that from, but that's not what I said.
Okay. I'm going to show you the encounter from February 3rd, 2025 at 2:29 p.m. Under musculoskeletal, does it say positive for left upper extremity limited ROM range of motion, mild pain?
That's what it says, but that's not what I said. No way is that pain mild.
And so that's just what the doctor would have written down, but you're saying that's not what you.
Her mask is slipping. I'm gonna go back one second. Look at she starts to give Sarah Dugan the business, like eyeballing her, and then she recovers. Watch how she looks at her, and then she realizes.
ROM range of motion, mild pain.
That's what it says, but that's not what I said. No way is that pain mild.
And so that's just what the doctor would have written down, but you're saying that's not what you told the
I
doctor.
did, had that been given to me,
Her
and I read it,
feeble old
and I signed
lady
it, I would say I
is
never
drunk.
said this, but I'm telling you, I never said mild pain.
Okay.
It's shooting hot pain down my arm.
And for that injury, you did have an X-ray. They did go over that X-ray with you and let you know that there wasn't a fracture or
There was no
dislocation.
fracture, that's what she told me. I didn't think it was a fracture.
or dislocation of your shoulder or arm?
No, it was just pain.
And they also went over your chest x-ray results with you to let you know that your chest x-ray appeared clear.
Yes.
You ultimately received the Band-Aid and Neosporin for the cut on your elbow.
I hope Dugan crosses her at the trial. Sarah Dugan. I hope that she crosses her at because she is holding back, but she wants to give her the business, but you can't do that if you're feeble and in pain and all carved up. Her entitlement is showing. The jury is going to see that.
Yes, I got that on Saturday. When did I get that? On Monday?
Okay, so within a day or two of the cut occurring.
Yes.
And you said that if you are given a bond, you will reside in Tallahassee, you will follow court orders. But when you were afraid of being arrested, right, Charlie Adelson's trial, isn't it true that you hoped that you could get to the airport before you were arrested?
I wasn't afraid of being arrested.
What were you trying to get to the airport in time for? In that jail
My
cell?
husband and I.
So you see how she cut her off and like she's correcting her. She shouldn't have said that. She shouldn't have said I wasn't afraid of being arrested. Because, man, we have the phone call.
Literally shocked and traumatized at what had happened to Charlie. And he said, we need to just get some peace. We need to catch our breath. We're going to go away somewhere. And I thought it was a good idea because I couldn't think straight. I really couldn't think straight. I was so upset, and so was he. And it was his idea. He said, sweetheart, let's go.
She's looking
Just get
over
away.
at him.
Just get away somewhere so we could have some time to think.
Okay, so your testimony is that you weren't trying to go to Vietnam because you wouldn't be able to be extradited from there.
So my husband actually had said,
Just say
we went
yes.
to Vietnam before
Yes, that is my testimony.
with friends. We were on vacation, and it really was like a place of peace. And so he said, if we go to a non-extradition country, then if the law enforcement decided that they wanted to arrest you or me, whatever, both, he said, we won't be sitting in a foreign prison waiting months to go back. We could buy a ticket and we could go home. And my understanding was that I could go home and I could turn myself in if that's what they wanted.
Okay.
Did
But
you
were
leave a
hoping to make
forwarding
it out
address?
of America in time before you were arrested, right?
I wanted to get away. He wanted to get away. That's what we wanted to do.
Why didn't you just say no and move on? Like, you're not going to... Sarah is good. She is playing her to get all this information because she knows Donna is going to want to correct her instead of... Your attorneys always tell you when you're on cross, if you are foolish enough to take it, keep it short. Or if you've done like a deposition and prep for that, yes or no answers. Make them pull it from you.
And it wasn't... we spoke to our attorneys. I asked them. They said there's no pending. We purposely pulled them to make sure it was legal to do it. And they said there's no, there's no pending charges and there's no warrants. So you want to go. And so you ask your attorneys and they tell you that, I'm going.
But Dan did tell you, as you say in the jail call, that knowing what they're thinking up there, I don't know if you'll make it out in time. I really don't. But that he said you might, or you might get to the airport and they'll stop you.
So what did he mean by in time? In time to not get arrested?
It could happen.
That's what he said.
Right. So you went to the airport knowing that they could stop you at the airport. You could end up being arrested.
That's what Dan said.
Right. And when you were looking at places to go a couple of days after Charlie Adelson's trial, you were specifically looking, though, for countries that did not have extradition with the U.S.
For the reason I just told you.
Right. And the reason that you're saying that you were looking for countries with no extradition was so that you could get back faster in order to be arrested in the U.S.
No, that's not what I said. It's because, I don't know, maybe we watch too much TV or too many movies, but I've seen movies where people are stuck in like third world prisons and waiting and waiting and waiting. And my feeling was, this is not what we want to happen. If the state says they want us to come back, we'll buy a ticket, we'll come back on our own terms. We don't have to be held somewhere. We'll come back home and turn ourselves in.
Couldn't you have done that no matter what country you went to?
No.
No?
No.
You couldn't have found out that you had a warrant for your arrest and come back if there was an extradition
Well,
policy?
not if they would, I'm not law enforcement, but it appears that they would notify law enforcement in that country and then they could hold you in a jail.
You're not law enforcement, but your attorney was advising you. What did he tell you?
For God knows how long, and I didn't want that to happen. So he said, well, that's why we'll do it this way, honey. That way, if they do notify us, so we got a phone call from our attorney or from law enforcement, then we'll buy a ticket, we'll go home.
Okay.
And so it would have been on our terms. That was the point. That was the reason that he thought that was a good idea.
And your
Before you
testimony,
continue, Ms. Dugan, we are over time. if you please, and get to your most pertinent questions.
Yes, sir. I guess your testimony ultimately, though, is that you were not trying to go to a country with no extradition because you were trying to avoid being held accountable for this charge. That's your testimony?
I didn't do this.
Okay.
Being held accountable for this is not what happened.
Being arrested for this case.
Being arrested
Right.
Yes.
That was not what you were trying to avoid by trying to go to a non-extradition country.
to get our heads on straight and just breathe.
That's all that happened to you.
Any redirect examination for Mrs. Adelson?
Just one question, Judge.
You may proceed.
The testimony was you were offered an X-ray. You were never offered an MRI for your shoulder, were you?
No.
Thank you.
You may step down, Mrs. Adelson.
Overkill on her injuries. Overkill. Welcome to jail. Don't kill people.
Does the defense have any other documents or evidence or witnesses that it intends to present?
Now suddenly her hands are shaking.
Witnesses that I want to present, we did file a request to take judicial notice of the motion and order in the Adam Thrash case where a request was made in a charge of first-degree murder for a
It's sped up. Remember, she's not shuffling that fast, but it looks funny.
bond for Mr. Thrash, and that was granted. Has Your Honor had an opportunity to review that?
I did. The records of the circuit court, they don't have to be judicially noticed. What the other judges have done in the past certainly are a matter of record. Procedurally, we are in a different posture than Dr. Thrash was, than your client, but any argument that you believe is reasonable, you may make concerning it.
Okay, the only other thing I wanted to do, Your Honor, is as an officer of the court, I wanted to represent, we attempted to obtain a copy of a no-fly order because that letter was received after Mrs. Adelson was taken into custody. And the only response we were able to get was that there's not from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security Traveler Redress Inquiry Program, was that there's not an open dispute of a no-fly order. So I didn't want there to appear to be a misrepresentation by myself in the motion and us not being able to present anything to the court as much as they would say in response to our request. And then finally, I was glad to see that Mr. Google here is present. And I'm sorry, I don't remember he's under sheriff, I think now, Mr. Google, in charge of the jail. And I just wanted to represent to the court that I did inquire about outside care. And the reason I questioned the witness.
Is she saying Mr. Google? Maybe I should turn on these. Hopefully they might work. Sorry, I should have had these on earlier. I forgot. I thought I was going to play the
additional care from other doctors is I did inquire as to whether we could have her taken to see other doctors to get treatment that she could not get in the jail. And Mr. Google advised me that with a court order that could take place, but we were never advised that without a court order she was able to get medical treatment that she was requesting.
Ms. Dugan, you may respond to the bond motion and present any evidence you have concerning presumption of guilt evident proof of guilt evident or presumption great. Go ahead.
I have two very quick witnesses as to the medical or to the security concerns practices.
Exactly, Northwest.
We're going to take all of it, but you go for now. Please raise your right hand, ma'am. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth?
Yes, sir.
You may take your seat. You may examine when you're ready.
Will you state your name and spell it, please?
Chelsea Wilson, CHELSEAWILSON,
And where do you work?
Grand County Sheriff's Office.
What do you do there?
Specifically, I am assigned as criminal investigations for the jail.
All right. Did you investigate an incident reported by Donna Adelson in February of 2025 that
Yes,
occurred back in October of 2024?
yes,
And was that the incident where she said that an inmate twisted her arm in the bathroom area and told her that she wanted the canteen?
correct.
Is there any video footage in the area where that took place?
No, not in the bathroom.
Did she disclose to you the name of the inmate?
No,
Did she disclose whether the inmate had ever been violent again or anything that is somehow related to the inmate in custody as far as being a friend or family member?
my understanding is a one-time incident.
If she had disclosed the name of the inmate, what could be done to hopefully keep that situation from happening again?
Well, we knew the name of the inmate. We could take measures to make sure that they were not housed together, that they were not in, for example, classes together. I don't know if she's interested in classes, but measures could absolutely be taken to make sure that they were not able to have physical contact with each other for her
Right.
safety.
If we don't know that inmate's identity though, and we can't take her out of the area where Miss Adelson lives in the jail, is the only option to take Miss Adelson out of the area and put her in an area where she cannot not be threatened again.
Unfortunately, yes.
And did you let her know that? And if so, how did she respond?
I did, during the investigation, trying to get the inmate's name who twisted her arm. I did explain to her that I would be able to move her back into a pod where she's able to move around more, where she's able to be social, for example. And her response essentially was that she felt, although she's not able to move around much in protective custody, she felt safer there, and that it does give her a little bit more peace and quiet to review legal materials for her upcoming trial.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
I don't have anything.
You may step down.
Thank you.
State calls with Bobby Collins.
Okay, let's take a comfort break. I need a little beverage and maybe we all stretch a little bit. I we're almost done. You can see it's short there, and we're at 1.5 speed. So let's take a little break, do a little stretching, and I'll see you guys in 60 seconds. And we're back. Okay. Let's oh, the law and crime chat can get crazy. Okay, let's hop back in.
As far as the writing numbers, it might be a website, but that's fine. Please raise your hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give today will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
You may take your seat. You may examine when you're ready.
Can you state your name and spell it for us, please?
Lieutenant Robert Collins, ROBERT COLLINS.
Thank you. And can you tell us where you work and what you do there?
I'm assigned at the detention. I oversee the classification unit.
Okay. How does the jail, the Leon County Detention Facility, handle when inmates are pressuring or threatening to buy them food from canteen?
Well, we interview the inmate, we gather information, providing what information that they give us.
It's
We will
distracting.
separate them out of harm's way and place the inmate separation, possibly follow up with incident reports or disciplinary reports.
Okay. And is there always an officer in every pod that an inmate can report an incident to, whether it be a security issue or a medical issue?
Yes, at all times.
Okay. Have there been any allegations made to the officers at Leon County Jail by Donna Adelson about any type of financial shakedown or threat in exchange for canteen, aside from the one made this month regarding the arm twist in exchange for canteen?
Not that I'm aware of. I only reviewed 2 incidents reports from February 3rd.
Okay, those were the ones made this month on
That is
February 3rd. Okay, and those are the incidents that the defense cited in their motion.
Correct.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
You may step down, Lieutenant. Thank you. Stephen, do you have any evidence that you wish to enter pertaining to the Arthur aspect of this?
I do, Judge. At this time, I'd move, and I'll just go through all of them at once. State's Exhibit 1, which is the probable cause affidavit for Donna Adelson. State's Composite 2, which are the
Love me
transcripts
some
of Charlie Adelson's
EDB.
trial, which Your Honor presided over. State's Exhibit 3, which are a PDF of slides from Chris Corbett's PowerPoint presentation that only feature the analysis of Donna Adelson's travel the night of July 18th, 2014. The open line jail call that we've referred to today from November 7th, and the transcript of that's State's 4, the transcript of that call, which is State's 5. State's Exhibit 6, which is a chat with a Vietnam visa on WhatsApp by Donna Adelson. State's Exhibit 7, which are excerpts from WhatsApp conversation between Adelson and Donna Adelson. And then finally, State's Exhibit 8, which is a letter from the Markell family to the court, which defense has reviewed regarding their wishes.
I slowed it down because she's talking fast anyway.
Concerning the
to get to her
state's
time.
exhibits, does the defense have any objection or anything to raise?
With respect to States Exhibits 4 and 5, renew our objection, as we believe the call should be suppressed, as well as the excerpt from the call and the transcript. So we would object on that basis.
Relates to whether the court will consider Exhibits 4 and 5 that will be tied to the order of suppression as to all that matters. Is there any objection?
No, Judge.
Court reserves whether Exhibits 4 and 5, and I believe which other ones were you contesting?
Just 4 and 5.
4 and 5 will be admitted. All other exhibits offered by the state for the purposes of Arthur and Bond will be admitted at this time. Stephen, do you have all of these available?
I do. The
Okay, it's
letter,
going to approach.
okay, and then 1 through 7 are all on the flash drive.
And the state's provided us, I downloaded a copy of the thumb drive earlier, so we have those as well.
All right, Stephen, you may make your final argument concerning the Arthur standard and also Bond.
Yes, sir. guess I'll go with Arthur's standard first. As to state to the transcripts from Charlie Adelson's trial, I think that the parts of this trial that were most relevant to whether we've met the standard in Donna Adelson's case are the emails that show Donna Adelson's motivation to commit the crime when she voices her hatred towards Dan Markel, strategizes ways to get Wendy Adelson and her sons to live in South Florida. The thousands of dollars worth of checks we saw in that trial that were written to Meg Vanwa, signed by Donna Adelson when Meg Vanwa never worked for the family in any capacity. Meg Vanwa's testimony that Charlie Adelson was about her being the middleman between Charlie Adelson and the hitman for this murder, and how on July 18th, 2014, which was the night of the murder, that Charlie gave her money at his home, which she then delivered to the hitman. Meg Vanwa saying that she learned that night, the night of July 18th, that Charlie Adelson and his parents had just been at the home. It was her understanding that Donna Adelson had washed the money and the money was damp. For the State's Exhibit 3, which is the travel analysis, basically these slides show that Donna Adelson and Harvey Adelson's traveled from their home in Miami to Orlando on the night of July 18th, 2014. At a certain point, Donna Adelson texts Charlie Adelson, "I'm outside your house," or "outside your house." Charlie Adelson then responds a little while later with 10 minutes. Cell tower analysis shows that Charlie Adelson is inconsistent with his house 10 minutes later. And when you look at the time it took for Donna Adelson to travel from the area of Charlie Adelson's home to the next point with location data for her north of Charlie Adelson's home, it shows that it should be about a 45-minute trip, but it shows that it took her 1 hour and 54 minutes. That shows there was 1 hour and 9 minutes unaccounted for during the time when she would have been waiting for Charlie Adelson at his house and could have stayed there for about half an hour once he arrived. And that could be consistent with her taking some of the money to Charlie Adelson's home, as Vanwa describes. Exhibit 4 is the open line jail call we've already heard today. On page 8, she does say, after speaking with Dan this morning, after knowing what they're thinking up there, I don't know if we'll make it out in time, I really don't. If Dan says you make it to the airport or they may stop you, it could happen, but it's worth a try. She then says on page 16 that they've looked it up over and over because things change, whether there's from Vietnam.
I know Judge Everett is so sick of Dan Rashbaum, like what he left in his wake between the conflict issue, not documenting it with Charlie, giving this recommendation. I felt like he should have recused himself from jump because of that call and what was said on there, but he kept going. And then it turns out he didn't even have sufficient documentation to not recuse himself. Like, WTF.
They could go to Korea or China because there's no extradition there. We are looking for places where there's no extradition. State's Exhibit 6, which is the chat with Vietnam Visa on WhatsApp. In that first message, that service tells Donna Adelson that all of the messages are encrypted and no one can read them. She began on this WhatsApp trying to get the visas during the afternoon of November 7th. That's less than 24 hours after the trial transcripts and State Deposit 2 reflect that there was a jury verdict in Charlie Adelson's trial. Donna Adelson says in that conversation that she needs an emergency fast-track visa for her and her husband. When given the option of 30 or 90-day visa, she chooses 90, unless she can only do 30, and in that case, she'll do it and just extend it. She then sends passport pictures and pays for the visas. Several days later, she says to the service that she's getting nervous because she hasn't received the visas yet, and she's typing all of that in all caps. She says her flight is booked at that point, which is the one-way trip to Vietnam with the layover in Dubai. That's within days of Charlie Adelson's verdict. The chat shows then that she got the visa just in time, I think the day before the flight, and then she ended up being arrested on the jetway in Miami right before she boarded the one-way trip to Vietnam. We also have the excerpts from the WhatsApp with Charlie Adelson, State's Exhibit 7. This is a conversation that the court has seen before. We've had a motion hearing about it, I believe, where basically we were able to get these messages in 2023 when Donna Adelson was arrested and we seized her cell phone. This is from the WhatsApp with Charlie Adelson on her phone. These are WhatsApp messages, though, that occurred in August of 2016. And there's a conversation between Charlie Adelson and Donna Adelson where Charlie Adelson is basically workshopping ideas that maybe the killer was a coke dealer and that Danny was just buying drugs from him. And they don't mention anything about extortion.
Miss Dugan has no mercy. Charlie was workshopping ideas like he was doing a skit for SNL. Oh my God, I can't.
Which ended up being Charlie Adelson's defense at trial, that he didn't intend for this to happen, that he was extorted, and that he didn't do this. And finally, the letter from the Martel family. Given the totality of the evidence in this case, the state does meet the burden under Arthur. The state has met its burden for every defendant who has been charged in this case and had an Arthur hearing. They have all been held in custody until trial, and none of them tried to flee to a non-extraditable country to avoid being charged before arrest. If court somehow believes the state falls short, though, the defendant should still be held no bond because she is absolutely a flight risk, given her past actions. More so now than ever, now that she has actually been charged. What we saw her talking about on the jail call and doing in the visa chat and going to the airport for and being arrested there, that was all before she was even arrested, when she just knew that the charges were coming. Now she has been charged. She is facing life in prison. So I think she's more of a flight risk than ever when you consider a totality of all that information. As to the bond argument, we heard from, the Mike Hayden, who's the medical administration. All of the defendant's complaints have been evaluated. Medical staff has treated them. She's been able to see a doctor in a day or two. That is faster than most of us who are out of custody could see our doctors. She was given Band-Aid and Neosporin for the cut on her arm when she bumped into the laundry machine. Sometimes accidents like that happen, and that could also happen to her out of custody as well as it could happen to her in custody, to bump into something and get a cut. We heard about her breathing and pain issues. Doctors ordered x-rays to make sure nothing more was going on, and the x-rays were negative. Medical staff can provide treatment for any medical needs, whether it be on-site or them having to go to a hospital, but they also need evidence of what's wrong and what needs to be treated beyond the inmate just saying that they hurt. And to see a specialist, there does need to be a necessity. If there's a necessity, Leon County Jail will recognize that and make the necessary referrals. Ms. Adelson has complained about the jail being too loud. The food is not good, but she is in jail. It's not the Four Seasons. All of her necessities are being met, and she should bring a medical necessity to the staff's attention, they will continue being met. As far as security is concerned, she wouldn't provide the identity of the inmate that caused the concern. If she would, then she could remain where she is while the other inmate is taken out. However, because she won't disclose, the only option right now is her being in protective custody. But as she did tell the investigator, that does, even though I'm sure it's not very exciting, its downsides, it is a quiet place where she can prepare more for trial. And so she's saying that she prefers that right now. The state asked that she continue to be held in a bond at Leon County Jail because she's safe there and it will guarantee her presence at trial.
Final argument from the defense.
With respect to Arthur and every other defendant prior to Ms. Adelson being held and Arthur being met, Ms. Adelson isn't the prior folks. She's not the ones who showed up at Carl's residence with a firearm, who planned to kill him and then did shoot him at very close range and take his life. She's not them. There's proof there. They can meet their burden there. Clearly, that's not what Mrs. Adelson is even alleged to have done. In this case, did they hold Charlie? Yes, they did. They met his burden too. Proof against Charlie is very different. I'm representing, Your Honor, a woman who stands before this court, and the argument out of the state's mouth literally is what I put in my motion. She said some bad things about her future ex-son-in-law prior to the divorce being granted. She cut some paychecks out of Charlie Adelson's business.
Did this itch just say she said some bad things about her? She had a nickname for him. What was it? Gibbers. I just found out that Shayna called her ex stupid. Like, can you guys not put that in a text? She threatened to put her Jewish grandchildren into Catholic school with uniforms. She threatened to put them in Nazi uniforms. That's not bad things. That is effing horrible things that came out of her mouth. Vile. And we saw a little bit of that Donna on the stand with Sarah Dugan. And that was a short time, right? Imagine a full cross. Sarah Dugan is going to have her head.
And it was her job to cut the paychecks. And at his instruction, she cut paychecks to Catherine Magdanawa. When her daughter called to say,
who believes that? It was her job. He told her. Does Donna ever do what she's told? She would have had a million effing questions. Like, what? Who believes that?
That her,
not Judge Everett,
soon-to-be or her ex-husband had been shot and killed, Ms. Adelson got in her car with her husband and drove from Miami to Tallahassee.
After she stopped off at her son's house with the wet money.
And they're elderly folks, and that's a part of the record. It's a natural course of travel from Miami up to Tallahassee to go through the Orlando area. The state actually said in its argument that the time that lapsed between when they show the cell phone records of Donna Adelson and being near Charlie Adelson's house, and then when Charlie says he's going to get back, could be consistent with.
Yeah, because they weren't there. They can't say that, but they have the metadata on her phone, and she was at that location. Stopped for a significant period of time, ma'am.
Mrs. Adelson stopping there and giving them this alleged pre-washed money. Could be consistent is not the Arthur standard. It's proof evident, presumption great. And they simply...
Proof evident or presumption.
Or presumption great. And they don't have that in this case, Judge. What they have is the strongest. Could be consistent with. Their entire case against Mrs. Adelson is speculation. The problem here is not one problem, that health issues are not being taken care of or sleep is being deprived. you know, she's not getting the food that she likes. Nobody's complaining about the fact that she's not getting food that she doesn't like. She's gained a third of her body weight. They can't protect her in the jail. They testified themselves.
That is literally their job. She is in the care, custody, and control of them. She's not giving them enough information to be fully protected, because if I were in jail and somebody was trying to kick my ass, I would trust the guards before I would trust the other inmates. And move me. And once I've told you, now you're on alert that I am at a greater risk.
There are no cameras inside the area where they use the restroom, the area where they take a shower, where these washing machines are. There are no guards in there. There's no video in there. So
Thank
if
God.
she disclosed the name, which she's willing to do in camera to the court with nobody else present, because she knows she's going to be retaliated against, they can't protect her from retaliation. If they put her back in the annex and some girlfriends or friends of this woman that she rats out finds out that she's back in there, they can take her down in the back room, and the guards who are sitting behind a glass being protected themselves aren't even going to know what's happening until it's too late. So providing the name doesn't do that. I have a
Before
client.
you go on, Ms. Wolford, as to the sheriff's role in this, he has a constitutional responsibility to all inmates. Also, your client has the ability to pursue a writ of mandamus if the sheriff will not fulfill his obligations.
A writ of what? A mandangus?
Is there a reason this has not been pursued if the situation is, as you allege through your motion and testimony?
Because that's not the only issue we have, Judge, which is what I was getting to.
No, answer his
What we have
question.
for us is a woman who's 75 years old. She's elderly. She has health issues that aren't being addressed, but there's more. She's not getting any sleep. She's given medication between 11:30 and 1:30 at night, maybe getting to sleep by 2 o'clock in the morning, waking back up at 3 or 3:30 in the morning. We're not asking that she get special
Maybe if she took her ass out of art class, that would be a good time for a nap.
treatment. She's on trial for her life in a town where everybody believes she's guilty. That for 10 years, it's been the same story, that the mafia mother has planned out this homicide and had Dan Markell killed on this evidence that could be consistent with, and that's not what we have. We can't prepare her for trial under these circumstances. Can we go and visit with her at the jail? Yes, we can. Do we have contact visits with her where we can prepare? Yes, we do. But we can't be up there 5 days a week. We can't be up there 7 days a week. We can't be there for lengthy hours. We're not the only ones who are requesting.
You shouldn't need to be up there 5 days a week, ma'am. Like, what is going on? You have a whole other trial where much of this evidence was presented that you can watch on video. These arguments are all weak. Again, this is stronger than her health issues, because don't do crimes, but it's overall, it's weak. Try harder. If she really can't hear, why not at least try whatever the bulb syringe was and see if that gets you a little bit closer? It might not be perfect as your fancy pantsy ENT down in Miami, but girl, you murdered someone allegedly.
That time. When we got the medical records from the state last week, there was one time that the jail was able to squeeze us in for 1 hour to go through the medical records with her. Over 300 pages of medical records. And we had other things to do in that time for us to meet with her. And I'm not criticizing the sheriff's office, and I'm not criticizing the jail. The circumstances are what the circumstances are.
So time management, right? Could the jail not have provided those to you in advance of your meeting with her? You go through and mark up notes. Surely 300 pages, you didn't need to go over every single issue in there. Do you know what I mean? Narrow down to the sciatica, whatever this is with the maxi pad and the cut on the washing machine. I just don't believe you needed to sit with her to go through the 300. Some of it should be self-explanatory, or you have some medical professional, if you don't speak medicalese, look at it and then form your questions from there. Like, why do you guys need, or send her a copy. She's got 2 bins of discovery. Let her mark it up or answer your questions that way, right? At least give preliminary so she's not sitting there trying to think of it off the cuff, because 300 pages, she's 75. Apparently she had a birthday. She's not going to remember everything like that. I mean, I don't. Hopefully I'm not. Well, I'm not going to speak that into existence, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, this just all sounds fluffy.
But if she remains in the jail, we simply cannot have her prepared to testify and assist with preparation of her defense. I cannot have an attorney-client privilege call with her there. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. This phone system that they have, they say that's not recorded, and we get cut off. It says we're making third-party calls. Neither one of us has made a move. Things happening. We get cut off in the middle of the calls. She has this labored breathing. If they can't find anything in the x-rays, I'm certainly not a doctor. I don't know why she's got it, but I have to start yelling to have her to stop talking because she's breathing so loud. I can't hear a thing she's even saying. She did not flee.
She has to start yelling. Is this the normal voice, or is this the yelling voice? Does it get louder than this when you're talking to her? Because you're real loud, ma'am.
She did not flee prosecution. She was told, and
Thank you, Colleen.
witnesses for her were told there was no prosecution. There was no warrant for her arrest. That was perfectly fine, and the state knows this. Their own investigator told a family friend there's no warrant. They can travel. They didn't attempt to flee being prosecuted. They were told there was no warrant.
Is this
for
part
her
of the
arrest.
evidence that's in the record, or you're just making argument generally about this?
I'm making an argument generally at this point, Judge, but the state knows it. If they're going to claim that she was actually fleeing, they know better. They know that their own office said it was okay for her to travel. And where did she get to? Absolutely nowhere.
Anybody else feel like they're being gaslit right now? Who should know that? She bought a one-way ticket to a third world country. She doesn't want to be stuck in a third world country, but she bought a one-way ticket.
And they have absolutely zero evidence to rebut her testimony that she was not going to flee prosecution. She was just going to get away to clear her head. In fact, she thought she wasn't being charged. And that's all the evidence that she had. Now,
No, she didn't think she wasn't being charged. Ma'am, we heard the call.
if we were coming before you and she had actually fled and someone had to bring her back, I wouldn't put my name on a motion saying.
Here's where I think this is a dumb argument, and I'm actually gonna, because I believe, and I'm not trying to help people do crimes, but because they were on the calls repeatedly saying Charlie was framed, the jury was against him, they didn't believe him, she could have gone with the story. I was afraid because my son was wrongfully convicted. They were going to go after me. So I was trying, I was, but now I understand, and I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like, to lie to us and say you were going on vacation when you're doing estate planning, you're getting emergency visas. Like, that's not how vacation is done, ma'am. No matter how much money you have, like, it just is. And then she's calling, and apparently she's got these WhatsApp messages that are encrypted but visible. Make it make sense, ma'am.
Give us a bond. But this isn't the first time that people have gotten a bond. Even people who fail to appear ultimately get bonds sometimes. Your Honor's aware of that. That does take place.
Oh,
People who violate their can get put back out while they're.
sorry, I forgot to reshare. I got too excited. Oh my God. They're just a little crazy. Let me back it up. I'm not sure if you all heard that piece. Okay.
The same story that the mafia mother has planned out this homicide and had Dan Markell killed on this evidence that could be consistent with, and that's not what we have. We can't prepare her for trial under these circumstances. Can we go and visit with her at the jail? Yes, we can. Do we have contact visits with her where we can prepare? Yes, we do. But we can't be up there 5 days a week. We can't be up there 7 days a week. We can't be there for lengthy hours. We're not the only ones who are requesting that time. When we got the medical records from the state last week, there was one time that the jail was able to squeeze us in for 1 hour to go through the medical records with her. Over 300 pages of medical records. And we had other things to do in that time for us to meet with her. And I'm not criticizing the sheriff's office, and I'm not criticizing the jail. The circumstances are what the circumstances are. But if she remains in the jail, we simply cannot have her prepared to testify and assist with preparation of her defense. I cannot have an attorney-client privilege call with her there. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. This phone system that they have, they say that it's not recorded, and we get cut off. It says we're making third-party calls. Neither one of us has made a move. Things happening. We get cut off in the middle of the calls. She has this labored breathing. If they can't find anything in the x-rays, I'm certainly not a doctor. I don't know why she's got it, but I have to start yelling to have her to stop talking because she's breathing so loud, I can't hear a thing she's even saying. She did not flee. She did not flee prosecution. She was told, and witnesses for her were told, there was no prosecution. There was no warrant for her arrest. That was perfectly fine, and the state knows this. Their own investigator told a family friend there's no warrant. They can travel. They didn't attempt to flee being prosecuted. They were told there was no warrant.
Is this
for
part of the
arrest.
evidence that's in the record, or are you just making an argument generally about this?
I'm making an argument generally at this point, Judge, but the state knows it. If they're going to claim that she was actually fleeing, they know better. They know that their own office said it was okay for her to travel. And where did she get to? Absolutely nowhere. And they have absolutely zero evidence to rebut her testimony that she was not going to flee prosecution. She was just going to get away to clear her head. In fact, she thought she wasn't being charged. And that's all the evidence that she had. Now, if we were coming before you and she had actually fled and someone had to bring her back, I wouldn't put my name on a motion saying give us a bond. But this isn't the first time that people have gotten a bond. Even people who fail to appear ultimately get bonds sometimes. Your Honor's aware of that. That does take place. People who violate their can get put back out while their hearing is pending for that violation of probation. If she has already surrendered her passport, she doesn't have a visa, she agrees not to drive, an electronic monitor is placed on her, she resides in Leon County, has to check in with pretrial as many times as you say she has to check in, can only leave for limited purposes, she's not going anywhere. And we're not asking Let's let her go back to Miami where she has an international airport that she can hop on and be gone before anybody knows that her bracelet is going off. We're asking that she be held right here, that she be court ordered to stay here with a monitor on, be allowed to be away from that home, to go to doctor's visits, get any medical treatment that she needs, come to court, be with her lawyers, and prepare her trial. We're not asking for a fancy hotel or anything else. And quite frankly, that's a little bit insulting considering the health conditions that she has to suggest that she's looking to be put up somewhere. The one thing the state fails to remember is she's presumed innocent. No, the Leon County Jail is not a Four Seasons hotel, but she's not supposed to be punished yet, right? She hasn't been convicted of anything.
There is a difference between pretrial detention
Right.
and
And she's been punished at this point. When you take not one of these things, but all of these things together, she doesn't stand a chance of being actually ready to testify for trial. That cannot take place under the conditions that she's facing. She's in extreme pain. She's not getting any sleep. Her diet is garbage. It's just not going to happen, Judge. And you know, if we were asking for something lenient, I could see the state's opposition.
Objectively, what about everybody else? There are other people who have to prepare under those same circumstances. What about them? Should they all just get out because it's tough? I don't get it.
But we're not. We're asking for you to hold her outside of the jail in the most stringent conditions she could possibly be monitored, just to allow her to be with her attorneys, get her doctor's appointments, and get ready for the trial that her entire life depends upon. And I would argue the state has not met its burden. Thank you.
Very well. I will review the admitted exhibits before making a ruling. We are in recess. This concludes the hearings. You may take Mrs. Adelson downstairs.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
I'll leave it running because I it might have been earlier in there, but they definitely flashed to Harvey. But yeah, it is just so yeah, he still hasn't ruled. I looked at it earlier. Someone asked when her next court date is. Let me look up on the Leon County website. It's so crazy. What is wrong with these people? Home case search, court records, criminal Adelson. So what do you guys think of her? 91% said no, they're not. The judge is not falling for this BS in the poll. Thank you guys for participating in the poll. I have to do a sanity check because, you know, like maybe I'm overly biased, so I always like to ask you guys, like, what are you thinking? Because sometimes if it's not this, if we're thinking differently, you guys make good points. We don't always have to agree, right? It's a collective crowdsourcing. Okay, so let me see if it has. Can I show you guys this? I think I can. It's weird because it's a website that does pop-ups for the next screen. Like you can't open a new tab, which is, hi, what year are we in? Okay, so the 25th. Hold on, I'll show you. Hold on, let me get this bigger. Okay, can you guys see that? It's tiny. Okay. So it looks like we just had the one on 226, right? A motion hearing. So she's got case management on 3/25, which I think is also the date that Sarah has her marital matter, but this is 2:30. Sarah's in the morning. I might be taking the 25th off. And then it doesn't say what this is, but she has something 5/16. I think this is going to be the final one. Like when Judge Everett didn't want to give them more time that they asked for in the last one. Because he was like, no, I'm not willing to move the date at this point. Do everything you can to keep moving forward. And then, oh wait, what's this one? She's asking for a judicial notice. Oh my God, come on. I think my hands are sticky. They're sticking to my keypad. Let me close that. I can see that I'm freezing. Let me just go back and close this other tab with the video. Yeah, okay. Defendant Donna Adelson, by and through, Oh, so they've added, I did look at this earlier, they've added additional citations for him. So in State v. Adam Frash, Leon County, the defendant filed a renewed opposed motion for pretrial bond. The court granted Mr. Frash's renewed motion. Mrs. Adelson requests that this court take judicial notice that the October 28th, 2015 motion and November 13th, 2015 order. Copies of the motion and order are attached. Florida statutes authorize a court to take judicial notice of records of any court. So these are all citations. The defendant respectfully requests that his honorable court take judicial notice and for such further relief as is just and proper. So I'm guessing they were feeling a little weak about whatever they submitted, because why didn't they argue this in the hearing instead of going on about Band-Aids and maxi pads? Okay, let's really quickly, I want to look at this other, while we are all here, this one, because we went through some of it just earlier, just to show that she had, in fact, had exercise. Toolbar, make this bigger. That still looks tiny. Okay. Will it let me do 250 now? Can you guys see that? Okay. It's not, it looks fuzzy on my monitor. And it won't let me do my own number like 250. Okay, let's just go through this, because earlier we went through her exercises, and then you have here, she's out of her cell for an hour. She's allowed to take a shower, use the phone, wash clothes, and clean her room. Lots of exercise on here. I highlighted in blue. And then we have her check-ins, which all seem here. She's resting, using their tablet. And if you get off the phone with Harvey so much, you also would have time. So at approximately 1400 hours this day, Director Dawson received a call from Miss Jackie Fulford, that's the attorney, in reference to Mrs. Adelson was unable to use the intercom in her cell to call the pod officer in the event she needed assistance. Mr. Dawson and I went to speak with Mrs. Adelson and physically show her. Now that's extra dramatic. So she called her attorney outside of the jail to have them call into the jail. Ma'am, they were going to come and see you eventually. Was there an actual emergency? You're just testing the intercom. So they showed her how to work the intercom in her cell, which was working correctly. Mrs. Adelson stated that she just needed a brief tutorial, and had to call her lawyer because you weren't coming fast enough, on how to use the intercom system, and that she was able to use it at the completion of my demonstration. I asked Mrs. Adelson if there was anything else I could do to her. I could do for her. And she stated she was fine and did not need anything else. I left Mrs. Adelson sitting on her bunk doing crossword puzzles. Again, an opportunity for sleep. Lieutenant Snow, number 51, and mental health, Dawson, number 205, entered to check on cell 9 speaker to see if it is properly working. Be advised, it is working. She had a shower. Inmate Donna Adelson was offered to clean her room. We did that in the other one. She did not clean it. Nurse Pride enters Pod M to give medication to inmate Adelson. So that the extortion thing we read in the last video. There's one more. This one, in case you weren't in the other one. I received a call from Sergeant Shauna Pritchard, 1:30, advising me that Dr. Phi, I don't know how that, hopefully, please take no offense if I butchered that name. I genuinely have no idea where to start. Needed to speak with me about inmate Donna Adelson, stating she was physically assaulted and being extorted for canteen while in Unit 5. Sergeant Pritchard and I immediately responded to Unit 5 above incident and removed inmate Adelson from Unit 5. I asked her, was everything okay? Adelson advised me that a female inmate approached her several months ago while she was in the restroom. While her arm was pulled behind her back, the female inmate immediately advised her that she would start ordering canteen every week for her. Adelson stated that she is forced to order canteen for the inmate weekly and she is scared not to order it. She stated that once she received the ordered canteen, another inmate tells her when to go to the restroom and provide the canteen to another inmate. Why though? Why can't they just, are they not allowed to share a canteen? Like she gave the other girl canteen that was on the bunk. I don't understand the restroom part. Or so maybe, so it's not on camera, the exchange? Maybe that's it. So I immediately advised Adelson to ensure her safety. I was relocating her to Pod M. She stated she did not want to go to Pod M due to the inmate receiving a disciplinary report on Friday and was placed in Pod M, and she was no longer in Unit 5. Okay, so she's safe now. Is that why you're coming forward? Due to the information of the unknown inmate, I reviewed the disciplinary report log, and no inmate matched the information Adelson provided to me. Right? Because if she went into the pod, they have to document it. They document all their movements. And she described, what did she say? A tall, 200 pound, a big woman is what she said. Over 6 feet and 200 pounds. I contacted detention investigator Lieutenant Deidre Bateman, which I believe that was the one on the stand, and advised her of the above, with the lacy top, of the above information for the safety of Adelson. Okay, so she was moved in the pod. It goes backwards in dates. So that was the one we read about her being the jail grandma. December, inmate is adjusting well through our conversation. There are no noted incidents to report. This file was taken over by Parksel. No incidents. This is where we know she has the 3 bins, so she's got 2 for her legal stuff. Another Sarah packing it in. Inmate moved in pod. Inmate was informally disciplined. Inmate Adelson took it upon herself to take a shower when the officer was conducting med pass, and plus the pod was on lockdown. Due to her action, she will be given a 2-hour lockdown. She complied. Very much like Sarah Boone. Inmate moved in pod. Inmate moved to Leon County Courthouse. Defendant file was reviewed and there were no noted issues at this time. Defendant received legal mail from the warehouse. I had the defendant come to the breezeway in the annex between the north side and the south side of the annex. I opened the mail in front of her and checked the envelope and mail for any contraband. I then gave her the empty envelope and the mail with no issues. She went back to her bunk. She approached the officer station and asked if she could have a chair at the phones while she used the phone. ? Go ahead, Rodman. This officer advised her that she could not due to fairness of everyone. Inmate Adelson became upset and stated, "That's fine. I'll just let my lawyer know that you won't let me have a chair." Sergeant Blakely was notified. I was contacted by Lieutenant Bateman about some concerning statements that inmate Adelson wrote in a letter to someone. Lieutenant Bateman asked me to go speak with inmate Adelson and see exactly how she was doing. Oh my goodness, this woman. It's the entitlement for me. So she's threatening them with her lawyer. Sarah threatened them with Judge Kranick, unbeknownst to Kranick. Okay. So I was asked to speak with inmate Adelson and see exactly how she was doing with Officer C. Lawson present. I advised inmate Adelson on why I was there. I asked inmate Adelson how she was feeling. She expressed that she was feeling just fine. She advised that prior to me coming to the pod, she was on the phone with her attorney and that she is fine. As a matter of fact, she is more than fine. I have relayed this information. She thinks she's better than they are. But they're not in bracelets. Defendant headphones were exchanged. Razor refused by inmate. File review. That all looks good. She returned nail clippers. They've been sanitized. Oh, they're shared nail clippers. I didn't know that. That's gross. The following inmate requested to utilize the nail clippers. Okay, at 7, and then she returned him at 7:11. Late entry. At approximately 10:30 hours, defendant Adelson's headphones were exchanged per Sergeant Jackson, and she was informed that from that point on, that headphones will be exchanged every 90 days. Defendant acknowledged. Ooh, anybody know why every 90 days? Maybe she's asking more frequently, and that's why they underscored the 90. I'm guessing these are like the ones you get on an airplane because they should last longer than 90 days. Defendant has no formal discipline. MP3 device fully charged and given back to defendant. MP3 device with earbuds, turquoise color, signed for pickup from the warehouse. The device was given. The razor was refused. I'm going to start at the bottom on this one, and then let's see how that goes. If it bothers your eyes, let me know, and I'll go back to top to bottom. But I feel like we're missing some context. Inmate, so I'm down here on the 18th of January 2024. Inmate Adelson has stated that her spoon spork is missing from her property. She stated it was there yesterday, but is no longer there when she went to eat her lunch. I told her I will make note of it. Razor was refused. Defendant was issued an additional container for her legal paperwork approved by Lieutenant Williams. She was seen in the unit to collect legal paperwork from Lieutenant Williams at approximately 15 hours. She was given the MP3 player at pod in pantry and advised that she will remain, oh my God, probably it will remain in her possession with her. And when it needs to be charged, she will need to submit a request to classification. She acknowledged. BP nurse enters pod of blood pressure on inmates. She's housed in general population, doing well. 5 random bunk bin searches. The following inmates were searched. So apparently it was fine because she didn't get a write-up. Defendant received legal paperwork out of a FedEx medium boxes, 2. The following inmate went out for outside recreation. So that sounds like exercise. Inmate Adelson. It doesn't say the time though, so unfortunately I can't substantiate whether or not she had 3 hours or not. That would have been a nice detail for them to add. Inmate Adelson approached the officer station and asked this officer, was it okay to go into the phone booth for privacy so that she was able to speak to her attorney on her tablet. This officer told inmate Adelson that it was okay for her to do so. What about the but they would still hear her side of the conversation. MP3 charged up in Unit 4, returned to defendant Adelson. File reviewed, no problems noted. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll down to the bottom of the next page. So out for shower. This is like the first 30 days that she's in. Shower, no exercise. This is when she was in the turtle suit, because I think she said on the stand it was like 90 days. And she was upset about that and felt like they weren't listening. But the thing was, they had the audio call of her threatening to unalive herself. And so it was like, it doesn't matter what you're saying now in our face. Like, we heard you, ma'am. Aramark, which is the commissary delivery thingy. Barfield delivered canteen at this time. Canteen received by the following inmates during this time. She had a shower. Inmate Adelson was seen at the dryer attempting to dry her clothes. Inmate Adelson was counseled with previously about the facility being on lockdown and the washer dryer being closed. Oh my God, Sarah had the same issue with what is up with the washer and dryer? Inmate Adelson had already placed her belongings in the washer and started the washer before I could stop her. Inmate Adelson acknowledged she mistakenly misunderstood when I called for the laundry workers. Inmate Adelson was allowed to continue washing her belongings. She was advised again, once the facility unlocks, the washer and dryer will become open, and at that time she will be allowed to dry her belongings. Oh, hopefully that's not too long. Okay, one more scroll down. Adelson had a telephone contact visit with Ronald Thomas and Jenna Vauncey. Anybody know who that is? For approximately 1 hour and 45 minutes, according to mental health. Toria Richardson. Adelson is being placed on step down, close supervision status. So she's moving from her protective custody turtle suit down to close supervision or close custody. She is not allowed to have socks or towels in the cell. She's allowed to have her tablet, but headphones are to be retrieved after each use. So all of these could be strangulation devices, right? I allowed Adelson to keep all of her clothing, gave her all of her canteen, and gave her the agency-issued blanket. I retrieved her socks and placed them in the bin outside of her door. This spelled this way makes it sound like it's a person and not an actual bin, B-I-N. Adelson's attorney visit with Thomas and Jenna. Who the F is Thomas and Jenna? She had that one lady, Descala. Was it Jenna Descala? Anyway. Someone talked to her, says all appears 10-4. Received meal along with spoon to eat. I think before that, because in that, when she, her attorney, Descala, was saying she has to eat with her hands. Oh my God. But they couldn't give her utensils if she was on a living watch. Miss Gilcrease entered to conduct mental health rounds with the following inmate at this time. So that was a thing she also complained about in the beginning, right? She was like, they've never asked me any questions. They go in to observe. She wanted like the head person to do, that first one. How the mighty have fallen. She had a lot to learn at that one because her entitlement was like disgusting at that. Even the Judge Everett had to tell her to settle down because she's like mumbling under her breath and making all these faces to let everybody know she was displeased. Adelson expressed that she is completing a lot of documentation for her attorney, and while sitting on her bunk with no back support is beginning to cause back pain. I spoke with Toria in mental health. Why in mental health? Who informed me that Adelson is no longer under mental health observation. Oh, she couldn't have a chair. I deemed it necessary to place a plastic chair with back support in her cell to accommodate her to complete her documentation and comfort. In turtle suit, what if you have your period? Girl, she's 70-something. She wasn't going to have one. That I don't know. Does it not go between your legs? I feel like some of them do. Don't do crimes. So she entered and did the rounds. She was out for a shower. I don't know what that is. LMHC MS T. Richardson entered to consult with the following inmate at this time. Adelson expressed that she is completing a lot of documentation. Did she tell it twice? Or did I just, I went back. That was me. Sorry, guys. Okay. This is inmate Adelson. Donna has received her dinner tray and her spoon. At this time, inmate Adelson spoon has been collected from her. At this time, inmate Adelson Donna received her spoon. Oh my God, they gotta document this. Spoon has been collected from inmate Adelson. She stated, what is she gonna scoop out her carotid with the spoon? I shouldn't make that joke, but you know what I mean? Like, what is the spork, they call it sometimes. I'll just give you the spoon back. I don't feel like eating right now. Adelson had its control. Adelson had a contact visit unscheduled with attorney Alex Morris from 12:20 until 13:53. She was then allowed to call her husband from the agency's landline. This call will end in approximately 15 minutes. She was allowed to shower and use her pencil to write her request. Oh, she's shitting in tall cotton. She got a pencil? She was also given a bag of chips to eat while completing her form. Oh, that was nice. Officer Meade advised callback was placed for Adelson due to receiving incorrect tray. Once tray arrives, Adelson will be given meal. Adelson was informed and stated, okay. This reporting officer returned from break. Breaking officer advised Adelson received her meal tray along with a spoon to eat. Once completed, spoon was collected back. They are serious about this spoon. Upon receiving breakfast meal, Adelson was handed spoon I cannot with meal. Approximately a minute later, she knocked on doors stating, "You can take spoon back. I don't need it." Officer asked, "Was she sure?" She responded, "Yes." At that time, officer retrieved spoon back. Adelson was observed eating portions of her breakfast. With her hands? Oh no, what's happened? Entered to consult with inmate. Adelson was allowed to use the telephone prior to showering due to juveniles utilizing the shower at this time. There's juveniles in there? Oh my God. According to Chief Mack, procedures will be taken to step her down. She will be allowed to have her tablet for reading access, but will only be allowed to have the headphones when time permits. I feel like that's a violation of something. Like, how could, if she can't talk to her attorneys without that, and you guys are, I don't know. Anyway, breathing treatment. Oh, so she did have a breathing treatment. She's been advised to return her spoon to Sergeant Sanford. Inmate has been advised once more that she is to get a spoon with each meal and must return the spoon when officer asks for spoon back. She stated, "Okay." Late post. Adelson was out to Unit 1 to speak with her attorney via tablet from approximately 2:45 to 1700 hours. She was escorted back to her cell and all property was retrieved. Adelson has been informed that she will have a limited amount of time oh my God. Are they serious? To use her spoon for each meal. Adelson is stating that she can't eat her food when it comes because it's too cold. The food is coming cold? I informed her that she would have a reasonable amount of time to have her spoon, and the officer will retrieve it thereafter. Adelson is acting if she can't comprehend the reasoning for her not to have the spoon as long as she wishes. I informed her that if any further issues transpire with the spoon, she will not be allowed the opportunity to have a spoon at all. They on the fuck around and find out crew. Okay. Oh my God. And Sergeant Safford enters to give inmate Adelson pencils and grievance to write. Spoon given, inmate knocked on door to give spoon back. Adelson was given request forms, grievances, and a pencil at her request. Oh my God. Multiple forms. You see the plural, right? All items were retrieved upon completion. Forms were placed appropriately. Escort. The spoon. I'm sorry, guys. Is this a real thing? You're in there for murder and you're harassing them over a spoon, girl. If you don't pick that up with your hands and quit playing. Oh my God. Adelson received top-bottom thermal and was allotted a shower prior to going out for court on 12/11. This entry was accidentally placed under Charlie Adelson's event log on the date in which the event occurred. Oh, because they're both in Leon County at that time. He hadn't been shipped out. I think he was there for like 30 days. One of you guys know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Keep me honest. Inmate out of cell for attorney call, escorted by Sergeant Safford. Oh, so the attorneys can call in? That's interesting. Adelson is in the medical attorney booth for an attorney call via a tablet. Inmate returns to cell, escorted by Sergeant Safford. Okay. Scroll to the bottom. So 12:13 of 23 miscellaneous. Sergeant Safford enters to allow inmate Adelson to read grievance forms and fill out new forms while present. Oh my God. She wants to see the manager. Sergeant Stafford advised inmate Adelson is allowed to use spoons for all meals. Oh, so she's graduated. Inmate must give spoon back to officer after finishing meal. Information will be passed on to the next assignment. But see, Donna wants to play the word game because she after the meal is finished, but she's delaying the start of it because it's cold and I guess it's gonna get room temperature. So she's like quibbling over that, right? Like, I haven't finished. I haven't started. I'm starting late because Sarah did that too when they were telling her she has X amount of minutes to do it. And she was like, well, I can't eat that fast. And the officer was like, you haven't even started. Like, you're not getting extra time. Adelson was given a pencil with grievances, inmates request form. I have some of the grievances, so I'll show that to you guys next. Yeah. Placed in the appropriate places. Adelson is out for an appointment with the psychiatrist now. and will be allotted the opportunity to shower thereafter. I'm surprised they didn't redact that. Inmate returns from doctor, currently out for shower. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's good for us nosy people. Inmate Adelson was evaluated by medical doctor today. That was the 13th. Inmate out of cell for attorney visit. She was busy. Doctor, medical doctor, psychologist, attorneys. She returned to her cell. Oh, God. A spoon was issued at 4:47. It was returned at 5:02. Spoon retrieved back from inmate. This is the 14th. She advised she has not eaten her breakfast tray yet and asked, see, can she keep the spoon? Can she get the spoon back when she wants to eat her breakfast tray? I stated, yes. Nurse entered cell to check inmate Adelson weight and blood pressure and meds also given. Inmate spoon given to eat. Inmate Adelson received spoon at approximately, oh my God, 6:37 hours to eat breakfast tray. I asked her, was she done with her tray a few times? And she stated no, because I am cold. What does that have to do with eating? Oh my God. I'm cold and need to warm my hands in order to eat. Like this, right? Isn't this how we warm our hands? How long does that take? She also said she will give spoon back when done. At this moment, 7:47 hours, she is currently sitting up on bunk with her eyes closed and open breakfast tray, some food content still in tray, and states she is still not done eating. The medical sergeant will be notified. She's about to lose her spoon privileges. Like, ma'am, they're not there to serve you. Inmate Adelson handed her breakfast tray back to me, stating she didn't want it. Oh, another one. Inmate speaks really soft, so I had to ask her if she wanted the tray. She stated no. Adelson was removed from her cell for an appointment with Yes Care physician. Anybody know what that is? She was also allowed to shower after completing her appointment. Captain Smith approved Adelson to use the telephone. I removed her from her cell to make calls. Adelson spoke with her husband for approximately, oh, they are watching you, clocking you, for approximately 15 minutes, and she spoke with her attorney for approximately 30 minutes via telephone. Inmate Adelson was given a breathing treatment by nurse Scarlett Riley. So if she was getting breathing treatments in 2023, are they not working anymore? She needs something more. I don't understand why she can't continue those. Do you know what I mean? Nurse Travis asked inmate Adelson, did she need a breathing treatment? Inmate Adelson refused breathing treatment for tonight. So that was on the 11th. She had one on the 9th, and I guess they're doing it every other day, and she refused that one. Entered to consult with the following inmate at this time. I don't know who this person, I don't know what the initials LMHC and then MS are, but she came to see her. I received her medication, and the nurse answered all of her questions and requests. Inmate Adelson was escorted out of her cell to use the phone, which was approved by Chief Mack. I know Chief Mack will be so glad when she is up out of Leon County. Adelson was allowed to come out for telephone use as authorized by Chief Mack. Her cell was cleaned and sanitized. Then she was returned back to her cell. Inmate Adelson accepted her lunch tray and was given her spoon along with her tray. While the med nurse was conducting med pass, inmate Adelson gave the med nurse her food tray. Because why? Saying she couldn't eat it due to being denied her spoon. Oh my God, the drama. Inmate Adelson is on direct observation, so she isn't allowed her spoon when told at meal pass she could not have her spoon because she became upset and stated officers have been giving her her spoon all week. Okay, well, today's a new day, boo-boo. What does that got to do with anything? The price of tea in China? Mm-mm. Okay. Ooh, what's this gray one? She had a shower. Inmate Adelson was interviewed, medical housed on direct observation on reds during the booking process. Observation after the completion of this. Sorry, there's a lot of typos on here. This inmate will remain on direct until further notice. Inmate Adelson was interviewed, medical housed on direct observation. You know what I should have did? I should have started from the very bottom of this. And then anyway, we're halfway. We're more than halfway done. Inmate knocked on the door and asked, "Why haven't she received a phone call? I advised inmate that I have no control over phone calls and could talk to classification or a sergeant." Why? How would this person know why you haven't received a phone call? Unless she's insinuating that someone called and they didn't tell her. Officer role, classification, and area to talk to inmate. Captain Dent and Lieutenant Williams in pod to issue phone call to inmate. Inmate was given a phone call. Inmate has returned back to cell. Had shower. She took a shower, was escorted. She was allowed out for a shower. She received a green smock, the turtle suit, and blanket. She was allowed to use the telephone twice prior to her shower and after she showered. She was not able to contact anyone, but left messages to her attorney and husband's phone. Adelson was able to contact her husband, so this is like 6 minutes later at 4:38, after several attempts. And then per Captain Carroll, Adelson is to be downgraded from high risk. She is yet on direct observation until cleared by mental health. So mental health has got to deem her not a threat to herself or others, it sounds like. Okay, verbally refused meal tray, 11:25. Inmate informed charge nurse Riley about her head hurting yesterday. Did she ask for help? She's just complaining. Like, why does the nurse care? Do you need Tylenol, ma'am? Inmate crying. She stated that she wanted water. I informed her that there was a fountain located on the sink in the cell. Oh no, wait, she needed Avion on the cell. She can't drink that, not our dear sweet princess. She stated that she couldn't drink from it and that she needed a cup. Oh, is that what it is? Because she had one for 3 days. Let it be known that she was observed by myself this morning utilizing the fountain. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Mental health, Miss Richardson entered for rounds. Nurses enter inmate cell for med pass and vitals. Officer C. Jones and Officer S. Knight present. Inmate escorted to shower. Inmate Adelson stated her toilet in medical 5116 would clog every time the adjacent cell toilet would flush. The plunger was used to unclog her toilet and a work order has been placed. I still can't get over that they are flushing their toilets to get the hot water to work. Someone else responded to that video that Miss K was in and was like, oh yeah, that's a fact. Officer Hairston and Nurse Cox approached Adelson door asking her did she want her blood work labs done. Adelson verbally refused, stating no, and declined all treatment. Nurse Cox and Officer Hairston issued her a form to be signed for refusing. Adelson signed it with no incident. Spoke with inmate Adelson while on direct observation, while Lieutenant Williams was present out of view. Defendant was advised that she must be cleared by the doctor in order to be removed from direct observation. Defendant was informed that once she is cleared from direct observation, she will be issued a tablet. And then she was issued a shower. That just seems like a lot of okay, these are her early days. Inmate booked to female booking. This is when she got transported from Miami. Inmate marked at a security risk for jail operations on 11/21. Defendant does not appear to be at risk for grape. Defendant will be housed on high risk red due to current charges. Defendant does not appear to be at risk. Inmate moved in pod 5. On November 24th, while conducting med pass, I observed a styrofoam cup sitting on the windowsill of room 516. Let it be known that inmate Donna Adelson is on direct observation and should not have this item in her room. What is she going to do with the styrofoam cup, though? Like, what? Oh, I guess she could stuff it down her throat, to be fair. Okay. I called Officer Meade to see if he knew anything about the cup being in Adelson's room, and he didn't know anything about the cup. There was no documentation in her event log that stated she was given a styrofoam cup by an officer or a nurse. So that's it for those. Let me show, how are we doing? Let me check in on you guys. Do you guys want to see her notes tonight, or should we save that for another day? Give me my spork. Because there's not that many notes, but they are telling. Let me see if I can get this one open here. Do we need a comfort break? Are we okay? Let me know. Yeah, okay, Northwest says yes. We're good to go. Okay, let's share this. So these are the forms. This first one was 12/12/23. There might be more. I think they kept the ones that are medical related in here, but she's just a complainer. Do not enclose in an envelope. Do not write on the back of this form. I would appreciate a phone call every day so that I can speak with my family and my attorney. It is very difficult to stare at four walls 24 hours a day. Also, I would like a tablet so I can read a book or the AP news. I have been isolated in this cell for the past 28 days. Please help me. It's like a hostage letter. I'm alone. My captors are outside. Help me. Do not write below this line. So this is where they respond to her. I am not over medical, but I will make contact with them and see what we can work out under your current classification. Here, this is January of last year. I am interested in sewing classes. Please sign me up as soon as possible. Thank you! ! Also, creative writing, trauma. What do you guys think the trauma is that she is interested in? Ma'am, you've got enough trauma going on. You have been added to the wait list. Then we have this on the 23rd. Also, I would like to receive 2 bras. I was never issued any. Thank you. Size 36. Yeah, because she was in the turtle suit. You are in there, as we say back home, with no drawers, no bra, nothing but what the good Lord gave you, and then they throw that turtle suit on you. Okay, she wrote this on February 2nd, 2024. Page 24 of the online inmate handbook stated the criteria for ordering books. I ordered a book prepaid from Amazon Publishing. Soft cover, no staples. Oh yeah, we know about those staples. It was not delivered with this note. No books can be received. Is your inmate handbook wrong? Where is the book now? It was not returned to Amazon. They hold it in property, if I remember. I don't know what case that was from, but yeah, they don't send it back. That's not their job. You didn't follow the rules. Money down the drain. All books are ordered on tablet. So that was her there. Hang on one second. Let's go back. They gave her the handbook. Oh, this. When she first got there, her classification. So 140 pounds, blonde. She looks terrified there. And oh shoot, I had an address that I didn't delete out. YouTube does not like that. So murder, first degree, conspiracy to commit first degree murder, solicitation to commit first degree murder. Interviewer's observation and score sheet. So presently being held or sentenced on felony first degree. So she loses 2 points, starts out at -2. Prior criminal history or prior criminal record, none. So she gets 4. So now she's at 2, right? Other pending court actions, no pending court actions is what they have. Now, I don't know why that's a 4, but whatever. So she's at 6. Escape risk. No escapes or attempted escapes. Pretty sure being in the breezeway or whatever that's called. What is that ramp called getting on the plane? Being there with like a one-way ticket. I'm pretty sure that's like, or maybe they mean escape from jail. Because I'm like, what? So she's at 10. Interviewers observation, adjusting well to incarceration. That's a 4. So she's got 14. Initial classification observations. 1, need to special care medical. I think that's for her breathing. What is that, like 15? I lost. Oh yeah, there it is. Duh. So between 23 and 7 is medium custody. 6 or below is close custody. Oh, so the higher the number, the more. Okay, now that makes more sense. So she ended up because she has a 15 in medium custody. And then they clarify if you're sentenced or not, and she's non-sentenced. So this is the Priya standard of like what we saw Sarah had. The grape. And then here's this one she got there at, she got there in the morning, 12:40, 0:40. Are you thinking about harming yourself? No. Do you have any existing injuries? No. So no mention of sciatica, no mention of these ears situation. Are you a United States citizen? Yes. Do you think you may be pregnant, girl? Imagine that. There was some woman in India in her 70s who had a baby. Listen, do your thing. Who am I to judge? Lest I be judged. Do you feel in fear of sexual abuse, harassment while in the detention facility? No. This criminal procedures, basically don't tear up stuff and don't beat up people. This is the Priya intake. Yeah, that was there. Okay, I think that is it. Let me just double check and then we can chitty chat for a second. I'll just show you guys. We're not going to go through this, but I'll show you I have it. I'll put a link in the description box later, tomorrow, or I guess now it's today, but not right now. But the rules and the regulations, it was revised March 24th. So she's got a copy of that. It's online apparently. And I just want to show you the table of contents. She's been, sounds like earmarking, or what is that? Is that called earmark? When you bend the ear down on the, like little parts to throw in their face, right? But it's pretty detailed, like bed setup diagram, general rules, note from prisoners. So we looked at her notes, meals, special diets. Let's look at that actually page. Can I just jump to 27? Hold on, guys. Let me not show it, and then I will scroll to 27. Where are you guys? Okay. Let's do it like this and scroll over to 27. So many tabs open. Okay, 27. They like document. I'm surprised they don't log their bowel movements. I feel like everything is scrutinized. Okay, here we go. It's intense. I mean, this alone, not that I was planning on committing any crimes, but this alone should definitely be a deterrent for anybody. Like, good Lord. And for Donna, it's got to be driving her crazy because like Sarah, she is like Sarah Boone, she's a control freak. And it doesn't even matter what it is. It's just like she needs to be the one in control. Okay, so inmates will be provided the 3 substantial, wholesome, and nutritious meals daily, with at least one being hot. Ooh. Mealtimes are served on the following schedule. Breakfast is 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. It must be different in the psychiatric ward because I saw a couple of like 6:30 breakfasts. Lunch is 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. It's like being on a cruise ship with old people. 4:30 to 5:30 is dinner. $2.70 per day food. So we saw that on her commissary list in the prior live. Indigent inmates are allowed to eat the same food for the same amount as paying inmates. A daily accumulated fee is charged against their canteen and will be deducted should they have any money deposited. Wow. All inmates will receive a food tray at each mealtime. If you should be released from detention facility while still owing food fees, the unpaid balance remains on record for 3 years. These food fees will be taken from your canteen account upon any subsequent arrest for y'all repeat offenders. If you should be found guilty or not guilty on all charges and wish to be reimbursed for your meals, a disposition from the clerk of the court shall be required from you before any reimbursement. Okay. I was thinking they were going to tell us about what's in the food. Okay. Special diets. Modified diet shall be prepared for inmates when ordered by a physician. Some of these special diets include, but are not limited to, diabetic diets, low calorie diets, high calorie diets, high protein diets. So why doesn't she ask for a high protein diet? additional nutrients for pregnant female inmates, vegetarian diets, etc. If you need a modified diet, you must address your needs in writing. See, that's why I feel like she's not working with the jail. And she cherry picks out of the handbook things to like give them agita, but she like the things that could actually solve her freaking problems if she was really looking for a solution. The answers are here. If you need a modified diet, now just like her ENT, that ear, nose, and throat doctor sent in a letter for the court, who I'm sure she has some fancy doctor in Miami that can say she needs a high protein diet. And then she doesn't have to go on, what did she say, with her tuna fish and mayonnaise. Leon County Detention Facility Food Services does not serve pork products. There are 3 basic diets available: regular tray, vegan tray, and kosher tray. Requests can be made directly to the case management unit for each of these. However, a change is considered permanent. Right, so you can't be like Sarah, and one day you can't have soy and the next day you can. Special management loaf meals, meeting the minimum daily nutrition requirement as approved by a physician or qualified medical staff, may be substituted for regular meals. In an event, an inmate throws food, beverage, food utensils, food trays, or any substance, including human waste, with food utensils or a food tray. That grosses me out that they're in there playing with poo. Okay. We'll look at this another day because I want to go through and pick out some of it. Obviously, I don't want to read this whole thing. I just want to like pick out things that she could have read and figured out like how to get herself right as Rain. Because she's not trying. She doesn't want to be there. She's trying to be as difficult as possible. If you're in pain and they offer you anything, why would you refuse it? Oh, that's not going to be strong enough. Take it. You don't know. Take it. And then again, because Tylenol, what is it? You can take it every 6 hours. Just take it again. It beats a blank. Yeah, she was horrible on the stand with the whimpering, but now we know what to expect. I think though, like whoever said that it was a beta run, I agree, because they'll probably coach her based on that and maybe show her the videos of whatnot of what she did. That feistiness with Sarah Dugan, she's gonna have to let that go. Like, think of the bigger picture. Don't cut off your nose to spite your face, because the jury will see that, and the jury's gonna hear the phone calls with you and Charlie talking about a TV and it's gonna be about this. They're going to see you running down those steps. One of you guys said they should show a picture of her 10 years ago. Oh, they are going to, because they're going to see her running down those stairs when not the hitman, but what is it? The extortionist, the undercover guy came to her. Like she was fit as a fiddle, hair up, bouncing around like I'm the bomb.com grandma going to pick up my grandson so that that we have custody of because we unalived his daddy. Do you know? Apparently slavery is a thing as a prisoner. They never got rid of it in reality. America is still. Yeah, so for all of you guys who don't know, or maybe the non-Americans, the 13th Amendment legalizes slavery, right? And so it's prison, which is why you're in there working and getting little or no money. I don't know if this is the case, but I remember maybe before I moved to New York, it was, which was like 17 years ago, it was, like they were calling people's homes, like they were working and they would call you, get your credit card number, and then there was like a big uproar. I don't know if it was California specific. That's what I'm saying. I'm referencing when I remember it, but I just thought that was like the strangest thing. What? And nobody knew they were in prison. I feel like they should give you the option. Do you want to talk to a prisoner? Do you want a prisoner handling your credit card information? But I mean, now we have all these different digital ways to pay without them ever seeing our credit card, right? I don't know. I just think it's weird. When the girls inside see this, she'll be fish food. Oh my God. It's not solitary. We covered that in the previous one. She's in a pod that is a solitary pod. Yeah, if you go back and watch the previous video about how her testimony is not matching up with the jail records, it's in there. Yeah. It's hotmess.com. I don't care where she is, ma'am, as long as she stays in the jail. I don't think she needs to be. Oh my God, you guys hear that? The wind is coming through the crack of this glass door. Oh my God. Is it closed? Okay. Yeah, it is. It's laughable that she's requesting it. And I would also say, have they tried to make arrangements with not the judge, with the jailers about getting more time in to see her in person? Because remember, Descala was going on and on about how she couldn't get a video call, and the chief was like, well, you can always come in person. Cockroach strong. Oh my God, they don't die. To support the living seems right. Laundry, cleaning. No, these people are working regular jobs like you and I would have. Well, I guess if we were teenagers, really, because like it's telemarketing, it's receiving orders like for LL Bean. They're taking the calls for that. But they're not getting like a living wage because they're in prison. They do some harder stuff too, but I don't want to think about it. It's yeah. Slavery continued. Okay, let's cleanse our minds of that because we're gonna go to sleep. Let's not get too heavy. Elon spaceships. Wait, what? To go to Mars and restart my life. There's a company in California that's working on vertical airplanes, which sounds kind of cool, but I don't want to go to Mars. But I hope Elon and Trump find their way there anytime soon. The lawyer's time is taking up with jail complaints. Exactly, Northwest. So they probably had to listen to that for half an hour when they were going over the 300 pages. And especially it was medical records. She probably was going into great detail, like ramping it up. And, like someone said, like a toddler. Yeah. Donna has gained a lot of weight. Her health can't be that bad. For her, she feels like it is. But what did she say? She's gained she's 2/3 bigger than what she was in the free world. But also, can't that obesity causes other things like high blood pressure, right? And is diabetes obesity related or obesity adjacent? Many state prisons have industrialized industries that make office furniture used in government offices. Yeah, all of those for-profit prisons put all those prisoners to work. It's very lucrative for them to run those prisons. And so it's kind of hard because isn't that a conflict? Then then the law enforcement becomes incentivized to get more prisoners, right? To keep that funding going. I've even seen it. There was one some youth group in Michigan, like a group home type thing, but it was run and one of the children unfortunately died. And so I remember that being a big scandal and a lot of discussion about oh my God, Northwest, do they really make them? Third of her body. Okay, thank you. I was like, I don't know how much she weighed before. 23 hours in a cell causes. Yeah. It is crazy. I don't know. It says on the intake she weighed 140. What do you guys think she weighs? She's like 5'9". Right. She wants us to think she's sick and frail, or maybe more like Linda Blair in Born Innocent. Oh my God. Sounds like a concoction. Yeah, but her mask slipped. Hopefully they'll show her that video because the jury is going to see right through her. And then they're going to read those emails. They're going to read the text. They're going to hear the phone calls. Miss Adelson ain't nothing nice. No matter how frail, it's almost like she's asking to be slighted because they're going to be like, well, don't kill people then. You know what I mean? Like you're there because you put yourself there. All of this other stuff, no one feels sorry for you, ma'am. You're trying to get sympathy where it is not deserved. Oh, they're made at the state prison. Interesting. She's got to be more than 160. Oh, but you're saying if we do the math of the 1/3, I don't think that's right then. She looks bigger than 160. I'm about 155 and I'm not nearly as wide as she was on there. Although the TV, puts on 10 pounds. Oh, was it 5'6" and not 5'9"? Oh my God. Yes, you're right. Oh, my brain. It is Shayna Gardner that is 5'9". Sorry, too many cases. The second she looks at the jury, they're going to read her for a predator, 100%, especially because she's putting it on so much, but she breaks in and out. You can see it. Yeah. No tears, nothing else. All right, guys, I think that is it. Hopefully, you can still get a good night's sleep. The boogeyman, aka Donna Adelson, hasn't frightened you too much. Let me make sure I didn't miss any. Kelly, thank you for being a member for 5 months. Wash the money literally still makes me laugh. I know that is not how money is laundered. I gave out 5 memberships. I hope that you guys enjoy them. Members, we do once a month. We're doing it now on StreamYard. We started it on Zoom, but not everybody wants to talk. So I'll share the link. Unfortunately or fortunately, just the way it's set up, if you want to come on screen, it's for Peanut Gallery and up. Not the oh my God, just a little more than 2 cents. Only because, like, I'm not trying to penalize you guys for that. Only because I feel like if someone is up to nefarious things, like, that's the easiest way to get into one of our meetings. And I just don't, until things settle down, I don't want to, like, drive the moderators crazy or anything else with people who don't know how to act right, who don't have their act right fully installed. Wendy became a member. Thank you. There we go. Those are the ones that I read. Let me just look. Can I see who won or who got the memberships? I can't. Okay, it's all right. I hope you guys have a great evening. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I appreciate you hanging out with me on this Friday night. It was a good conversation. You guys have a lot of insight, very smart. And I love that. I love engaging with people who have their thinking cap on because not everybody does, you know? I mean, good, bad, or indifferent. You know, it takes all types. But I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out. I'll talk to you later. Toodles.